So, what are your feelings about that? What are your feelings about pricing different markets? And I mean, you're definitely seeing down in Florida, a seller's market. Um, and then the Midwest prices are, I think, set to decline.
Yeah, it's definitely the Midwest has always been the way the Midwest is currently. It's just one of those that doesn't move much. It stays cash flow positive for the most part. West Coast, East Coast, we are fluctuating the way is to be expected with this much dollar being burned by the government and with systems and programs that are extremely beneficial for tenants currently. So it's creating a higher sellers market. The same heat that we've been going through the past 8 years. We thought it couldn't get any hotter. It keeps getting hotter. And with the potential of the moratorium ending, I don't think that's going to slow down real estate. I think that there are people who we may see those foreclosures, right, Duncan? Like the foreclosures of people that are sitting out there, but that's going to be more on the residential side. And I think there's enough people who are going to pick it up. I think there's enough out there where enough investors who are hungry in the market who will pick it up before it really gets to a big high inventory arena. We're one of the guys I was talking to, he thinks we're maybe 2025, 2026 before we see something massive in real estate, just because of how much dollar got pushed into the government pushed into the economy. Regardless of the moratorium, I think the moratorium just makes it easier for landlords to finally do our jobs.
Yeah. Well, I've down in Florida, I've been hearing people say it'll probably take 3 years before inventory even hits enough supply for demand.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, I see so much money pour in down here that people are willing, to accept lower cap rates just to get into the market, which I think is crazy.
Your lips to God's ears, it's like I look at the numbers and somebody's like, yeah, it's 6% cap rate. It's going to be great. I don't know. Maybe there's a value add. Let me look. Can I raise rents? Or is there loss to lease? No, these are right at market rate. It's like, how do you see this as a deal? How do I make money here?
Yeah. And I tell you, I see everybody buying for cash, offers just going in. There's no financing, no contingencies, barely at all, maybe just at it appraises. It's just absolutely insane in Florida.
Yeah. And what part of Florida are you in, Duncan?
I'm about an hour away from you in Madeira, the Clearwater, St. Pete area.
Oh, nice choice, man. How long you been down there?
Not long. I got back so a couple weeks, and then I'm heading out next week up to Pennsylvania for a short while, for a week, and then heading out again. So
not bad. Real estate allows you the financial freedom to come and go as you please.
Yep. But I like to keep my toes in all the markets to see, and speaking of Boston, I know it sounds like Boston's coming to Florida. But it's the same in Boston, it's people, there's so much money out there right now. I've never seen so much people just saying, well, I'll just private lend you money, whatever it is, I'll just get the money in play, get the money working. So there shouldn't be any investor who has trouble acquiring money at this point of the game.
I've been saying the same thing. There is so much money, it's disgusting. Right? And people are willing to take lower rates. They're willing to not have second position. There's so much high risk dollar out there in the marketplace. And I mean, it is probably a pretty risky situation.
Yep. I just look at all the people that send me their private lending criteria. I'm like, some is actually pretty good and it sounds like a normal business, but then I see the private lenders like, okay, you're trying to be really edgy. I'm like, that's risky. But the good thing is, it gets more people confident when they know they have access to money to start making offers. I think when I was making a ton of offers and out there on the speaking circuit, the number one thing I saw is people were afraid to make offers because they felt they didn't have any money. So, I don't see any excuse now that would stop them from being successful.
Yeah, that is no longer the issue. Money is not the issue. The issue is, does the deal even make sense? Right?
Yep.
Does the deal make sense when with the higher amount of leverage required to close on it, to bring in the private money.
Yep. So anyway,
Yeah.
just my 2 cents. But I'm going to go on mute and let you do your thing. People are coming in now.
Awesome feedback. And Duncan, thank you, by the way, for the conversation. If you can go to the Facebook page, the description in there is my old description for my affiliate training. If you could just update it with a nice, sexy one, I'll take care of the other platforms.
Okay, super.
Thank you, brother. All right. And Dorina, if you could make that adjustment on my Facebook page, same thing. So we can have one that doesn't say how affiliate marketing can make you rich. That would be crazy. Hands to the camera if this is your first time at the Boston RIA. Hands to the camera if your first time joining us. If you've never been here before. Excellent, excellent. Hands to the camera if you have been here before. This is not your first time. You're an experienced member of the RIA. Excellent. Let's give yourselves a round of applause for showing up. One of the keys to success is you've got to show up. Success doesn't happen for people who stay at home, do nothing, don't pick up the phone. But the Boston RIA is all about success. And it's not our success. It's your success. Before we get started, I want you to take a moment and think about, what does success mean to you in real estate? What would that mean for you? Are waiting for other people to come into the room? And I want you to drop it in the chat. What does success look like for you? This is a very interactive training. We want to make sure that you're feeling engaged and getting your mind going so that you can actually take some moves after this. Hands to the camera if you know, training without action is useless. All right. Education, knowledge without action is pointless. Well, one of the tips I'm going to give you right away early on, since you showed up early, so for everybody who's late, they're going to miss this one, is that the way you make the most money is connect with the right people. The way you make the most money is connect with the right people. I was actually just talking about that with Hannah earlier before we jumped on this call. Is I'm a great talker. I'm a great orator. In order for me to make money, I require great workers, people who want to go do the work. I'm also a great collector of cash. I've done a great job at collecting this stuff. And so in order for it to make money, I need people who like to do the work. Hence the camera, if you know, that's how this works. It takes people to make more money. It takes some cash, and it takes a deal, and then it takes somebody who's willing to do the work on the deal. There's 3 aspects to real estate: deals, money, labor. So we're going to talk a lot about some of those as the day goes on. Boston real estate. I'm going to get my PowerPoint going. If there are any questions, you can drop them in the chat, but I want you to put in what your goal is, what success means to you in real estate. Drop that in the chat while we get this started. And then let me know if you see my screen. And if you don't see it yet, that's okay. It shouldn't be there yet. How about now? Can you see the screen? Hand to the camera if it's there. Awesome. Excellent. Welcome to the Boston RIA. This is our August main event meeting. The Boston RIA is a national association. We're part of a national association of real estate investors with a main focus of helping others become successful. Hands to the camera if you have been on the website Bigger Pockets. Have you ever heard of Bigger Pockets before? Excellent, excellent. One of the first things Bigger Pockets, the podcast, tells you to do is get to your local RIA. They say you want to be successful, get to your Real Estate Investors Association, because that's where all the money in the room is. I'll tell you what I've done here at the Boston RIA and the Rhode Island RIA and down here in the Tampa RIA where I live now. I have made over $1 million from the room itself, raised capital. I have found deals, and I've found contractors and people who are going to go do the deals. Hands to the camera if you know there's value in the room today. There is. I'm already looking around the room and I see plenty of money. I see opportunity here with us. Excellent. So the Boston RIA is all about opportunities for you. Doreen, are you keeping an eye on the room for us? If you see people in there, just bring them in. Excellent. Excellent. I want to welcome all of the new members and our guests. This is your pathway to success. And success, as you see in the chat, means something different for a lot of different people. I have to read this to you because I don't want anybody to ever get sued. Boston Real Estate Association assumes no liability or responsibility for the outcome of any real estate transaction, decision, or other action that any Boston RIA member or visitor enter into as a result of attending any Boston meeting, listening to any guest speaker, or talking to any Boston RIA member, guest, visitor, or persons. To put that in simple terms, you are an adult. You are here to learn how to make more money. But in the process, if you don't pay attention, you could also lose money. So my guidance is trust your gut, trust your instincts, do the math, and make sure you ask for referrals. Check around anybody you work with. Make sure that somebody else has referred them to you. Hands to camera if you commit to not lose money. Excellent, excellent. And hands to the camera if you commit. If you do lose money, it's not our fault. Awesome. Well, most of you get it. The liability disclosure is there recorded, so we know. We are the largest trade association of real estate investors in the United States of America. Home Depot is our business partner. Equity Trust is our business partner. Real Protect, Rent Perfect, which, by the way, you may be introduced to them a little later, and Office Depot are some of our massive trade discount companies that we've partnered up with to save you money. Now, who do we save money? We save our members money. The people who show up for free, well, you came for free, you don't get to save any money. The people who pay for the membership, you know what you save. Thousands of dollars. It saves me thousands of dollars a year in my investment business. Phenomenal, phenomenal asset. We also have partnered with the tools that you require in order to do your deals. Hard money lenders, insurance companies, traditional commercial lenders, and normal mortgage brokers. The people that it takes to go and get a deal done, insurance agents. These are required for you to be successful in real estate. There's no doing deals without other people's money. Hence, care if you've heard of OPM. It stands for other people's money if you haven't heard of OPM. Do we have one of our vendors on today, Kelly? I believe Duncan mentioned we might have had somebody who wanted to talk for a little bit.
Monteverdi Capital might be. I tell you what, we have a new person on the phone who just reached out to me. He's not a vendor or member yet, Dave Pickron, but he is a commercial real estate agent there. So I'm going to give an opportunity for just 2 minutes, or a minute, I should say, just to introduce himself.
So you're generous. I was going to give him 30 seconds. So
okay, 30 seconds. Yes.
All right, unmute your mic. You are still muted, so unmute your mic and then have at it.
How's that?
There you go.
Okay. Dave Killen with ABG Commercial Realty in Boston. We're middle market focused on not just multifamily investments, but industrial and retail, multi-tenant, single occupancy. This is my first time at an event with your association, so I thought I would drop in, see who I meet. Was real interested in your earlier conversation about what's going to happen with the bank-owned properties we all know are coming in the next couple of months. They're, they are in the pipeline.
Hey, Dick, so can you give us a little bit of overview, like a 15-second overview of what you think in the retail industrial space, and is it a good space for investors to be in right now?
In Greater Boston, industrial's got like a 3% vacancy rate right now. It's a healthy market. Manufacturing's healthy in terms of the underlying kind of landlord, cash flow stability. Retail in the middle market is coming back. It's slowly kind of reinventing itself where it needs to. We're seeing that office is hit or miss. Nobody in our shoes is chasing it right now, but if it comes up and you can put it together, that's great. But multifamily housing is strong, and in Greater Boston, it is showing no signs of doing anything but continuing to stay healthy. That's a good asset class to be in. We love it.
Great. Well, I tell you what, our association, definitely, I think everybody on this call, their ultimate goal is to be in multifamily.
Yeah.
Walter, has a couple already up there. Probably
Nice.
there's quite a few doors up there. So, this is the place to, really push deals. We are investors, so we are looking for deals.
Excellent.
That's the big thing, and,
We,
I
we
think
thrive off market. That's one of the reasons I thought I'd come check this out.
All right. So what I'll say is just drop your information in the chat bar, and those
Love
people
to.
who want to just have a chat to you later on can do so.
That sounds great. I appreciate the opportunity.
Sorry, Walter. I just had an email with him. So
Let's give Duncan a round of applause for adding more value to the community live on the call.
All right. Bye.
And let's give Dave a round of applause. I love what he's doing for investors. Hands to camp if you want off-market deals. You want stuff off-market.
That's where it's happening.
We don't want to compete with anybody else. And Duncan's right. I got over 50 units up in the beautiful state of Massachusetts, or as we call it, Taxachusetts, but I don't mind because it appreciates. They've kept going up in value. The tenants' rents kept going up. Hence, if you're committed to buying yourself some multifamily in your journey as a real estate investor, hell yeah. Well, you're in the right place. We're going to teach you that process too. Maybe not all tonight. It's, by the way, a long commitment to be in real estate. We're not going to get you rich in the next 24 hours. We're not going to get you rich in the next 3 hours that you're on this call. Hence, if you that's okay. That's all right. If it takes 3 to 5 years to become a millionaire in real estate. All right. Well, I'm hanging out with people who are reasonable. I just wanted to make sure that nobody had unrealistic expectations. But I don't mind raising the expectations a little bit. There it is. Look at that face. That's me and some of my students, some of the people in the Boston RIA, some mentorship members. You got, who's that on the right there? That's, can you see my mouse? Or you see my mouse if I do it this way, right?
Andrew Casal.
Andrew Casal. Andrew Casal came in. He's actually bald like me. So he and I had a lot of experience together with shaving. Not together, but we had the experience. Todd, you know what I'm talking about? The Shiny Brethren. We put a little effort into our look. He also was like me. He was afraid to buy his first piece of real estate. And when he came to me, he was actually an accountant. Andrew, within 6 weeks of joining the mentorship, went and bought or committed to buying his first 3-family. Within 6 months, he owned his first 3-family. And now he's asking me, how do I buy my next one? He's put a plan together to acquire his next property, and he's increased not only his income on his rentals from doing renovations, but from just going and doing a little bit of a raise. Just going around, he had lost the lease, he went and did a raise. Saeed in the center here is good. Oh, look at this beautiful Russian princess right there. Darina, she owns 3 multifamilies in Worcester. Over $1 million of real estate. She's an immigrant from another country, came from Russia, moved to America at 21 years old, 7 years later, started buying real estate. And now she's a millionaire today because, hey, the market's appreciated. It's multifamily. She's got 8 units, that cash flow. Actually, she just sold 2 of those units, put $250,000 in her pocket. She started with no money down. These are the deals that are possible in real estate. So I like to say it's not an overnight success, but some people in some markets have done very well. Here we are in Orlando. We were doing a training. We called it Mission to Millions. This was us all getting together, talking about our goals, how we're going to build more real estate. These are a lot of my students who have been through my mentorship program. Each one of them is committed to be a millionaire in the next 3 to 5 years. I'm on a mission to build 100 millionaires. Anybody see my cup before? See the cup there? Mission to build 100 millionaires who are inspired to build 100 millionaires. So this was me training some of our future millionaires. The front row on the left side of me are all millionaires. These gentlemen right here, each one of them is a millionaire through real estate, stocks, crypto, and business. And so we teach the process together. We do it as a team. Here we are, Mission to Millions. You can see there's somebody wearing a shirt that says names on deeds there, names on deeds. If you've never heard me speak before or hung out with my community, I'll tell you the secret to our success. We know that it's not about wholesaling. It's not about flipping. It's about putting your name on the deed. That's what makes a successful real estate investor. That's what separates you from everybody else. You have your name on the deed. Everybody else is talking about it. And so we made a shirt because the community kept asking for shirts. So we got shirts that say Mission to Millions, names on deeds. By the way, I'm not selling shirts today. I apologize. You can get them if you find them online. But this is about a community. This is about people rising together, training together, supporting each other. In this picture, I see 3 partnerships that didn't exist before the mentorship. 3 partnerships that would not have existed if I hadn't had the guts to go and put this group together, put this training together. In fact, this woman right here, Kim, I was just in a training with her. She's invested in multiple people's businesses, multiple people's real estate transactions. She's a lender in one of my companies. This woman right here, Melanie, owns 3 subways and 15 rentals in Massachusetts, 15 units. But she's also partnering now with this gentleman, Chris Bazalian. Chris, who's doing a deal in Connecticut. They met through the mentorship. And then he said, I got this deal. She said, what's the ROI? He told her, she said, I'll go 50-50 with you and bring all the money. Hands to the camera if you know that's the sort of deal you want to do. You just find the property, manage it, and somebody else brings the money. Is it okay if you pay somebody 50% if they brought all the money? Literally all the money? So these are just a few of the deals that have happened in the community, people who are growing, building together. Another one, this person right here has become one of my best friends, but he was a student in my class at one point. We were teaching in Fall River. It was a class he would drive all the way from Rhode Island over to Massachusetts, and he'd sit in the class. He's an attorney, but he came to learn how to buy more real estate. I called him out in one of the rooms. I said, bro, you're already a millionaire. He was like, I never even thought about it. Never did the math. And I asked him if he would start teaching, start sharing some of his knowledge. And he became my first coach in the mentorship. He became that first partner. And we now have 8 millionaires who are partnered with us, all through real estate. He also partners with other people. If you look in this picture, this gentleman here has partnered with Saeed here. They're doing a deal right now, $50,000 each profit in Worcester. This is Worcester, Mass. So it's an hour away from Boston. This is Kim. She's doing deals. This is Melissa, who just bought a property in Roatan. She moved from Boston to Roatan, is doing a development out there. She learned the process with us. She did her first flip in Roatan, is now doing a development. She's 20. Dorina, how old is she? 21 years old, 22 years old?
26.
Still yeah, she looks really young. So 26 years old. And she's crushing it. She'd never done a deal before. This is Ken Hoffman. He just took down $1 million property with none of his own money because he partnered with Mike Shine, who had too much money. They've become 50-50 partners. They bought the property for $1 million. They're selling it now. They bought this less than a year ago, and they're selling it at $1.4 million. Hands to the camera if you know that's a lot of money for both of them. Even though they're both doing okay financially, this partnership made a lot of money for them. If they hadn't been in the room, if they hadn't become members, if they hadn't taken the time to show up and have these conversations, by the way, the mentorship meets every week. So that's where the magic comes from. Like when you meet once a month, which by the way is a huge value to find new blood, then you start meeting weekly, you start leveling up your friendships. Hands to camera if you know you spend at least once a week with a broke friend right now. You got a broke friend. Everybody's got one of those, right? Imagine this. Imagine I put you into a place where everybody around you was like these champions, was people who were growing, people who wanted more, people who were developing themselves, showing up. And then you met them every week and you hung out every week and you mentioned what project you were working on, what your goals were. Do you think it's possible that somebody in that room might have the opposite problem, either too much money, too much time, or too many deals? It is. Trust me. I thought when we started training, because I started training with how to buy real estate with no money, that all I was going to get was broke people. Nope. I ended up with people who had deals and didn't have money. I found people who had money and they were showing up because they had money and they wanted to invest the money. That's a very interesting community. And I ask a lot of questions. Has anybody noticed that I ask you to put your hands up to the camera? The reason is so I know if it's making sense. So stay engaged with me. It makes it a lot more valuable for you if I start saying the right things. So we knew from these from these trainings, once COVID hit, people were losing connection. So we shifted over to a Zoom platform. But fortunately, COVID has released in at least the state of Florida. So when you come down to Florida, no masks, no problems. So we decided it's time to do a live event. A big live event, an event filled with millionaires who are committed to becoming successful through real estate. So this live event is something I'll be running with my other 8 millionaires. We're going to be giving tips over 3 days. It's extremely, extremely high value. This is not a big guru up there who you won't be able to ask specific questions for yourself. This is not some event where they're just trying to sell one particular thing. This is an opportunity for you to learn how to build your business plan for the next 5 years to build your real estate portfolio. It may start with hard work, but it will shift over to actual partnerships who are doing the hard work. Hands to camera if you're okay with somebody else doing all the work for you. Cool with that? Yes? Excellent. Hands to camera if you're okay with somebody else bringing all the money for you, doing all the hard work, bringing the money. Excellent. Excellent. So you might be in the right room. For now, this event is in Orlando. This event is getting you out of your current market, out of Boston, out of where you are, so you can get away from your distractions, away from your broke friends, so you can hang out with new friends, make some new connections. We're doing it in Orlando because, well, it's always sunny in Orlando and they don't really care about COVID. They're perfectly fine with you doing whatever you want. Wear a mask if you want, don't wear a mask if you want, but don't miss out on an opportunity to hang out with a whole bunch of people who are motivated, who might be your next business partners, who might be looking to do their next deal with you. And my next picture is, we're going to be celebrating some successes. There'll be some high fives. 100 Millionaire Summit. We valued it at $1,000. And of course I should charge $1,000, but what we said is for everybody who signs up early is $200. $200 for 3 days, bring a friend. So that's 2 tickets for $200. Hands to the camera if you know this is an event that you want to be at. If this is one of those places where you know you can make some money. I hear you. I get it. I agree. I go to these events all the time. You know why? The money's in the room. It's not just for the training. I go for the network. I go for the people. Now, obviously, I'll be training. I'll be talking about how I built my empire of $10 million worth of real estate and how I moved to Florida. By the way, all my real estate's in Massachusetts, managed by my partner. I think you've heard me say partner a bunch of times because I don't like to do work. Hands to camera if you know that's where you'd like to be, maybe somewhere in better weather with somebody else running all your money. We pull in over $50,000 a month. Over $50,000 a month comes through. When I was starting this, I wasn't making 50 a year, right? When I started, I wasn't making 50 a year. I'm telling you, I wrote a book. In fact, I wrote the book, Broke to $250,000. You see that there? It was broke. I thought $250,000 was good at the time. That was my first book. My second book was Get the Deal. Real Estate Alchemist, how to get the deal, how to find off-market properties in your market and negotiate them down. This process, this training thing, this came from a need. When I started, there was no mentors, right? They were out there, but they're too expensive, right? They weren't in my market. There's 2 types of mentors you need. You need one in your market. Write this down if you have a pen next to you, because I think a lot of people miss this. You need a mentor in your market who understands the market, and you mentor outside of your market who will give you all the secrets on how to find deals, because the mentor in your market isn't going to open his lips on that one. The mentor outside of your market doesn't give a shit. They're completely okay with sharing all the secrets about how to market and how to find deals, but they don't understand your local market. So you need that local mentor and you need that out-of-state mentor. What I've got in our program, is it okay if I share, by the way, what our mentorship looks like? And by the way, you don't have to buy it. It's just an option. I literally just want to tease the ability for you to be more successful. My first mentor made me a millionaire. My second mentor made me a multimillionaire. The mentor I just started working with now will get me to that Deca Million status. So I said I own $10 million worth of real estate. I want a net worth of $10 million of real estate. That means I've got to get 4 times as much as I have right now. So my 25% down payments lead up to that equity. Hands to camera if you know it's a simple process, but it's some big talk. Yeah. So I had to hire somebody who did it already, because that's how you hire a mentor. Look, I can't teach you how to become a billionaire. I haven't done it yet, but call me in 12 years. So these are, that's as funny as they get. These are my fellow millionaires. Each one of them a master of what they do. In fact, Duncan might like the guy on the right there. This guy here, he's a crypto master, but he owns more real estate than he owns crypto. Even though he wrote the book, Scaredy Cat Guide to Real Estate Investing and Scaredy Cat Guide to Knowing What the Heck Bitcoin Is, he owns more real estate because real estate just did way better. Same with Mitch Durfee. This guy spent his time in the military, and then he was buying houses in America while he was overseas. And he became financially free using the VA loan, buying one house after another, up in Vermont. Guess where he lives now? Miami. This seems to be the theme. When we're from those cold weather areas, we get our real estate, we make our money, and then we get out. You don't have to. You can stay where you want. This is Dr. Terry Wager. Dr. Terry Wager is a psychologist on money, how people think, why people don't make the right moves. His fiance, his wife, Christine, ran Starbucks for years. She was in the corporate offices building the trainings. So she understands how to scale a business. Every one of these millionaires is somebody who I personally know and I've been personally impressed and coached by. And then I just convinced them to come and work with us. Answer the camera if you know that's clever. Stroke your mentor's ego. Tell them they're awesome. Tell them they're great. Tell them you're learning so much. They'll continue to do free things for you. And that's been one of the cases that I've found. This is what the mentorship includes. You can take a screenshot of it. I'm going to run through it really quickly because I want to get on Dave's talk. By the way, hands to the camera if you know I've got a really great speaker tonight. We got somebody fantastic who's going to give you some real value. All right. As long as you know, we always over deliver on this event each month. It gets better and better each month that you show up, and successful people always show up. So the Alchemist Mentorship is a members only networking community. This is where we make all of our money. We have 8 weeks of coaching calls with me and my 8 millionaire coaches. We actually break out into breakout rooms and we start going one-on-one with you to hold you accountable, to make sure you had a powerful week in the past. And we set goals for the week coming forward. So you have a powerful week coming up. These are the weekly targets, assignments, and accountability. These are imperative if you find yourself being one of those people who says, I know I should do it. I want to do it. I want to be successful, but doesn't quite do the actions. When somebody is there lighting the fire under your butt, you spent a little bit of money to be there, I guarantee you will do it. We have a 100% success rate with everything we request. It gets done. And then everybody who comes through the program stays in the program. By the way, it doesn't cost anything to stay with us for the next 6 months, for the next year. It's just the initial 8 weeks we charge for, because that's the part where we decide, is this person serious or not? That's where you decide if you're serious or not. If you miss a week, I already know the answer. Hands to camera if you think that's true. Yes. So it's 8 weeks. You get Alchemist University for free. This is all the training I've created for agents, for wholesalers, for real estate investors, for landlords, for raising private capital, for building partnerships, and for getting attention when you're looking to fill your units and attention when you're looking to buy property. Hands to camera if you're looking to buy property at a discount, off market. All right, then you need some attention. So there's a lot of training on the university, but you don't have to use it all, just the one that works for you. Then we do a personality assessment. This personality assessment decides, well, your personality already decides what type of investments are good for you, what kind of business partners are good for you, how you should be raising capital, how you should be marketing, how you should be finding your deals off market, what kind of agents you should be working with, and wholesalers. If you don't know your personality, you don't know your behavioral, your investor behavior, there's a good chance you're overworking yourself. Either you're spending too much time or you're spending too much money on things that you're not getting the right ROI on. We knew this. That's why I brought in a psychologist to be one of the coaches. He explained and broke it down for me. And since we started implementing this, every single person moves forward in a way that makes them feel good and makes more money. Hands to camera if you want to make more money and do less work. Shit, then you got to know yourself. It's necessary. You got to know who you are. We talk about the millionaire blueprint. This is something I call wealth stacking. Some people will have $10,000 in their pockets and not know what to do with it or do the wrong thing with it. That first 10,000 has to go to the right place in order for it to grow to the 50,000. That 50,000 has to go to the right place to go to 100,000. And if you're starting with $1,000, the first place, the right investment is up here. Learn how to make $10,000, because most people who come into a group like this don't know the how. In fact, I made a post on Facebook, which I post a lot. Made a post on Facebook and I said, if you haven't learned how to make that first $10,000, you and I probably shouldn't have a conversation. If you're not able to make and boost an extra $10,000 a year. And this kid came on and he said, bro, like, people don't know how to make an extra $10,000 a year. And I respond back, I was like, what do you mean? You know, you just do $10,000 worth of value, right? A little extra, whatever it is. 10,000 is the easy one. It's the extra 100,000 that's gonna be a little bit of work. And he said, no, people just don't know. Hands to the camera if you've ever felt foggy around making an extra 10 grand. If it's ever felt like, fuck, like I don't know how to do it, shit. All right, we're going to teach you what to do with that first 1,000 so that you can make that first 10,000. So then you can stack up, use that principle, keep growing. Because the only money that doesn't work is the money that doesn't know what it's doing. All the other smart money makes more money. But money that hasn't been educated can be taught. Just because you've gotten this far in life and haven't learned how money works, haven't learned the process to attract more, doesn't mean you can't be taught tomorrow. And once you know it, it can't be taken away from you. It can't be unknown. Hence to the can't, like Dave. Dave's on this call. Dave, you know how to make money, right? Nobody can take that away from you. You'll always make money because you got the skill set. Once you have it, you keep growing more. And that's why this mentorship was designed the way it is. Oh, and opportunity to have Walter Amarillo, that's me, invest in your business. Well, yeah, bring a deal. If the deal makes sense, I'll put money in it. If the deal doesn't make sense, be thankful you asked me. Hence, if that makes sense, right? I'll let you know if the deal makes money or not. If it does make money and you need money, I'll invest. If it doesn't make money, I'm going to tell you, walk away, wholesale it, send it to somebody else. The value, well, just a random crazy number. What would it be worth if I could teach you how to become a millionaire in the next 3 to 5 years? It's $1 million. What would it be worth? I put a random number of $17,000, 361 cents. I believe that's the value to learn how to make $1 million. Hands to camera if that seems like a reasonable number. Like, shit, the ROI is fantastic. But because it doesn't take too much of my time to run this mentorship, it's a weekly call. It's not a lot of effort because I've recorded most of the content, and then the one-on-one calls are done by coaches who are volunteering, which means it's not me. I could put the price extremely low. So it's just $1,200 for the 8 weeks. And then you get all of Alchemist University and all of my weekly calls. Once you're in the mentorship, you're invited to my 52 weeks to wealth, where I deliver my 52 wealth principles, one per week. It's like the Church of Success. You get access to a lot of free stuff, including the event I was talking about earlier. Hands to camera if you remember the 100 Millionaire Summit I talked about. All our community gets there. Well, I'm giving those tickets away for free when you sign up for the mentorship today. Sign up for the mentorship, 2 tickets, bringing you and your business partner. Or if you're really smart, you and your spouse to the 100 Millionaire Summit in Orlando. We'll make it a vacation, take the Monday off, right? It's gonna be Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We're gonna be grinding, building your business, going through the education, networking hardcore, meeting everybody. And I strongly suggest on Monday, take your spouse over to Universal, have a blast, go to Disney, propose, do whatever makes sense there. But don't miss this opportunity. Come hang out with us every week that goes by. I know this from personal experience because I should have started sooner. Every week that goes by is one more week you're not a millionaire. Ask me how I know. Because when I got here, I thought I should have moved here sooner. I should have done that deal sooner. I should have found that business partner sooner. I should have, if I known that course, my first course was $10,000. It took me 3 years to sign up. Imagine if I could get those 3 years back. Because that course is the one that fired me off. Introduced me to my partners, introduced me to the lenders, introduced me to the people who found my deals, the agents, introduced me to the mindset of how to manage all of those people in a good, ethical way so that my business kept growing legally. Man, 3 years. You know what 3 years means when you double your income every year? Which, by the way, I do. I made $1.5 million last year. We're aiming at $3 million this year. Do you know what that would have been if I went 3 years back and I'd done this sooner? Just imagine it. You're the same way right now. You just don't know the value of your time because you haven't learned the value of your time. You haven't found those people who are going to move you forward. I don't think that's fair. That's why we created the mentorship, because it wasn't there when I started. And I wanted to build something that would move people forward faster the way I wish I had somebody to move me forward faster. Because, my dad loved me a lot, but he didn't know how to build wealth. He wished he did. He always told me, son, you're going to do better than us. I wanted to be a millionaire by the time I was 30, but I think you could do it. My dad would say that to me. I was a millionaire at 32. I missed the target. Hands to the camera if nobody cried for me. Your life's important, and you're not going to get another one. But you do get an opportunity to move forward with us. Join the mentorship. Help us build my mission of 100 millionaires. That's all I'm asking. When people ask, I give so much, you give so much. How can I help you? What can I do? Dude, just become successful. That's all I'm asking. I am on a mission to build 100 millionaires who are inspired to build 100 millionaires. You cannot contribute until you made yours. That's why I'm focused. So when you sign up, commit to your success first. When you become successful, then ask me, what do you want to do together? Hands the camera if you know you're committed to your success. Committed to make your first million. Hell yeah. Give yourselves a round of applause. I love commitment. Successful people take action now. This is the truth. Successful people show up. They take action. If you want information about the event, which, by the way, everybody should grab this picture. And let's give Doreen a round of applause for throwing this on the screen. Pull out your camera and just put the picture app over this little GIF. What are these called, Doreen?
QR code.
So put it over the QR code, hover it over. It's going to bring you to the website for the summit. So you can get ideas of what the event looks like, the hotel information, the dates. It's this October 22nd to 24th in Orlando. This QR code is gold for you because today you may say, I don't know if I'm going, but if it's not saved in your phone, when you decide that you want to go, I'm easy to find. You can find me on Facebook, but at least go take a look at the website. Doreen put a lot of time into building it. Let's give her one more round of applause for thinking of a QR code. Very clever. Oh yeah. Duncan's a generous guy. If you haven't met Duncan, let me tell you, super generous. In fact, he twisted my arm on this. He said, I like that event. Can Boston donate some cash to this opportunity? Can Boston go in, allow the opportunity to bring people there? He said, I want to create almost like a tuition where a scholarship for our future investors. Anybody who is a member of the Boston RIA, anybody who signs up tonight, or if you renew, in fact, he texted me a little while ago. He said, if they renew, would you honor it? Would you put them into the Boston, into the 100 Millionaire Summit for free? $200 ticket. You sign up tonight for the Boston RIA, either a renewal or an actual purchase. We're going to send you to Orlando for free. I'm not paying for the flight. Hold on. Not paying for the flight, not paying for the hotel. But Boston RIA is going to pay for your ticket to Orlando, to the event for 3 days. You're going to be with the 100 millionaires at the 100 Millionaire Summit. Here's the one problem, though. Everybody who shows up is committing to becoming a millionaire in the next 3 to 5 years. Everybody will be signing a document that says, I commit to my success. Now, that's all the document says. It just says, I commit to become a millionaire. Signing it yourself, signing the contract, making a commitment to yourself. Now, I won't know about it, but you will. You'll know you signed that. You'll know you committed to yourself. So my strong suggestion is take advantage of Duncan's generosity. Take advantage of the Boston RIA scholarship for the 100 Millionaires Summit. Join the Boston RIA today and get your tickets to the 100 Millionaires Summit free, singles and couples. If couples sign up, we're going to give you the comp ticket for free. Bring your partner, your business partner, or your spouse if you want to have a long-term commitment with them, a long-term relationship. Hands to camera if you know that makes sense. You kind of want to keep them around. Yes. And you want them to keep you around. This is an opportunity for networking. By the way, was that valuable piece of information, a very valuable tool? Excellent. For everybody who does take advantage of it, I'm looking forward to a selfie with you in Orlando. We're going to have a blast. It's a phenomenal training I planned up. I've got my predictions for real estate over the next year. I've also got my crypto guy there who's going to give his prediction for crypto over the next year. So Duncan, if you're in town, show up with us. This is a networking event. Even though we're barred by COVID, we have the ability to network within Zoom. So let's use the Zoom chat to put your have, needs, and wants. Type in what you're looking for if you're a business owner or if you're an entrepreneur, or if you are an investor, a wholesaler, or a real estate agent. Type that into the chat now. Let's make the chat an extremely valuable piece of technology. So you can copy and save this chat afterwards. Make phone calls, texts, and emails to the people who you know you want to do business with. Hands to the camera if you commit to throwing at least your information in the chat right now. What are you looking for? What deal are you looking for? What city are you in? Phone number, emails. This is an opportunity for everybody who wants to serve somebody else or, like myself, be served by other people. Wholesalers, by the way, I am buying Fall River, Massachusetts, 3 families, 6 families, 12 units. That's how this goes. My email address is my first and last name @Gmail. Send me deals. Hands to camera if you know this is a great way to find deals. Let the wholesalers know. Drop it in the chat. It's your chance. Excellent. Also, for those who sign up for the Boston RIA, you're going to get access to your Boston Real Estate Investors newsletter, which is extreme value. It comes out every week, I believe, right? Every week, Kelly? Information on Boston? Excellent. You can also sign up for free at bostonrealestateinvestorsassociation.com. If you're new to real estate investing, put your hands to the camera. Not new? Got experience? Excellent. Excellent. So if you're new, let us help you get started making money on your first deal. Join the Boston RIA tonight. This is your opportunity. By the way, I'm a part of a lot of RIAs, and people tell me, well, why would you join all those RIAs? They cost money. My budget for RIAs is about $3,000 a year. You know why I spend that $3,000 a year? I made 1.5 million last year. I made them at RIAs. And if you understand, Bigger Pockets doesn't say go to the RIA for no reason. They say go to the RIA to meet the people and get the training. So our All-Star members get free entrance to the monthly main events, which are happening again in January. You get free entrance to our subgroup meetings, our Home Depot 2% rebate program, which I'll be talking about in a second, or Sarah will be talking about in a second, the discounted workshops, and more. There's a ton of value coming up. Learn the sport, be a player, join tonight. Take action now, because that's what successful people do. Oh, what's this? Sarah, are you still on the call? Let's give Sarah a big happy birthday round of applause. It's her birthday today. And she does so much for our community. We wanted to make sure we celebrated her.
Thank you so much.
Sarah, your slides are up next.
Okay, I am ready. All right. Is it okay if I share my screen?
By all means.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much. So I'll start here. Share. Thank you so much, first of all, for the birthday wishes. Totally unexpected, but I greatly appreciate it. I am not sure if you are able to see my screen right now.
Not yet.
Okay. Now?
Not yet.
Okay.
While we're waiting for Sarah to get her screen going, just so you know, the person we have speaking tonight has tremendous value for you. Oh, there's a screen. All right, I'll tell you in a second about Dave. It's pretty fantastic, though. Sarah, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Excellent. We see
Yes.
you, and we see the smiley faces on the screen.
Awesome. All right. So this is the one that I wanted to share. So I thought while we'll be talking about the landlords and rents tonight. Not sure why this doesn't want to do you can see my screen, right? You're okay.
Landlords
You're able
want
to see?
2021 prices with 1993 kitchens.
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, so sorry about that. Not sure why. So one of my realtors colleague shared that, and that's what we think about, as real estate agents. Landlords, they look for the highest return on investment, but they want to do minimum. Please don't be one of these people. If you relate to this statement, you don't want us laughing at you. Absolutely, we wouldn't laugh at you. But if you can relate to how to increase your return on investment, and you want to do something about your property, then probably what I'm about to say can be relevant. So, with Home Depot is a reward program. So it's not like a credit card or anything. It's a reward program. How it works is that Home Depot has affiliation with us. So anyone who is a Boston RIA member they get to get extra benefits and extra discounts if basically, if you're a member with Boston RIA. So Boston RIA members, they get a 2% rate, 2% rebate biannually on all of their purchases with a $5,000 minimum spend per period. So basically the rebate period starts from January 1st until June 30th, and then July 1st until December 31st. How it works is that Home Depot sends a gift card rebates, to your home address within 60 days of the end of each rebate period. So always make sure that your mailing address is good, is updated with Home Depot, so you always get your rebates. So basically, talking about the $5,000 minimum spent in a 6 months period, this is under $1,000 per month. So if you're a landlord of a 2 or 3 family and you want to like redo the whole kitchen and the whole bathroom, maybe new floors, new paint, you will easily get to that $5,000 minimum, and will get eventually rebates from it. Boston RIA members also qualify for 20% gold status or gold status tier. Basically, any member who, any a Pro Extra, Home Depot Pro Extra member who's not a Boston RIA member will need to spend $7,500 to get to that tier. Once you are a Boston RIA member, you get that immediately. You become a gold status, and you get a 20% immediately on the checkout. This basically, the 20% off paint is applicable to paint stains primer of a gallon or more. And to get the discount, you have to enter your registered phone number on the pin pad before basically swiping your card. And basically, once you become a Home Depot Pro Extra member through Boston RIA, you register however credit cards or checking account, basically anything that you would use for your business, you register it with the Boston RIA code, and every time you make a payment, you get the 2% back. So if you pay with a registered card, you get the 20% immediately, and then you get the 2% at the end of the 6 months rebate period.
Sarah, the slides look better on the left side than in the center there, but the value is the same.
I'm
We're
not
still getting
sure.
a massive discount.
Yes, I'm not really sure why I tried to click.
Hands to the
some
camera
reason-
if we've made mistakes with our technology in the past. All of us have.
I am not sure why they are
alright.
not showing here, but at least you're seeing a little bit. See
At
when I
least
click
the information is right that's coming out of your mouth. That's all that matters. People save money at Home Depot when you join the membership.
Yes,
Excellent.
100%. Also, if you're a flipper or a landlord and you do kitchens and bathrooms, Home Depot also help you with that. So members basically get up to 20% of select Hampton Bay kitchen and bath cabinets if you purchase 10 or more cabinets in one transaction. And how it works is it's at 10% from National RIA and 10% from Home Depot, and both are stackable with any other store discounts that may be available at the time of the purchase, on top of the 2%. So you always have it's a lot of discounts that you can benefit from. They also have a wonderful program. It's called Volume Pricing Program, or VPP, or Bidroom. Basically, if you have a total amount of items that $1,500 or more, which is very easy to do. You can easily go to the Pro Desk and have them prepare a code and ask them to send it to the Bidroom. And, they send it, they take just a few minutes, and it comes back with any applied discounts from 0 to 15%. 2% rebate gets also added to that if you pay with a registered card. And this is, it's a lot of savings. The only thing that I would not, put on my list through this VPP is they paint, because the paint takes 20%, immediately. So you get better discount if you just buy the paint by itself. But the rest of the items, I would definitely run them through the VPP. All right.
And I'll talk to the bid room. I save a lot of money in there. The bid room's just fantastic.
Absolutely is, because you get really the lowest prices possible, throughout all the Home Depots. So they really do the legwork for you. It doesn't matter where you are located. They run the numbers and they get you the lowest number basically, and that's what you pay. And also, to share with you the numbers for our members. So in the last 6 months, Home Depot paid out to chapter members over $500,000, with average rebate per member of almost $1,600. Speaking of numbers, how much that can buy you, how many RIAs that can buy you, like a few years of RIAs, like about 5 years or so.
That's actually how I pay for some of them through my savings at the Home Depot.
Yeah, absolutely. So we get a lot of education here, and which is absolutely worth a lot. Like, it's very priceless. But if you just sign up with the Boston RIA just for the Home Depot rebate, this is alone, in 6 months rebate is enough to buy you RIA for 5 years. So, if you don't even show up, this is alone is a lot of savings for you.
But you should show up. There's a lot of information, and people never remember the people in the room.
Yeah, the people that show up, are always successful. I'm not really sure why, but this one is not showing at all, I believe, right?
I got it on my side if you want.
Cool. So yes, then please take the screen, because basically this is the most important part. If you are not, let me just stop the share. If you're not a member, you would like to become a member, and or if you want to verify if you are a member with Boston RIA, reach Kelly. You can call or text her. That's her number. Thank you for sharing this. And she will help you. And then once you're verified or signed up, she will get your information over to me, and then I will help you set up your account, get you started. Within 24 hours, you can start making purchases and making discounts, collecting discounts and rebates.
And if you're pulling your phone out right now and you're wondering, how do I look at the screen and type the number in? I'll do you one favor. The number is Kelly Weirman at 864-906-4111. You're welcome. 864-906-4111. Text her RIA or membership or hi. Any one of those would work. Let's give Sarah Ibram a round of applause for running through a tricky slide. Sometimes it doesn't always work out the way we want, but the main point of that is you save a lot of money. Hence, if you like saving money. But wait, there's more. Every single one of these vendors is also associated with the Boston Real Estate Investors Association. So if you recognize any of those logos, ask them for your discount. Once you sign up for your membership, ask them for your discount. If you don't ask, you don't get. And since you've been asking, this is what the membership costs for $280 for a single person, or notice steep discount for being in a relationship. You might want to go find your spouse or a business partner, sign them up and save $100. I think it's about $200. Save $200 by signing up your partner tonight. So it's $380 for couples. The free entrance to meetings, all the benefits we just talked about, in-person meetings starting, are they in September now? Are we committing to September? Boston's okay with September meetings? Maybe. All right. Most likely starting in September. Text Kelly 864-906-4111.
Depends on the Delta.
So it depends on
Walter, it's really depending on the Delta variant and what Massachusetts decides. So we'll see what happens in this next month or so.
Yeah, makes sense. That's why we say live events in Orlando. So come on down. We'll take care of you if you're itching for that real quick networking. Otherwise, this event is the only national RIA event or networking event that I've seen use the chat to build relationships. I really want to stress that you use the chat. Just pick somebody to reach out to that seems interesting and say, hey, I was on the call and I wanted to reach out to you because I knew there's something about you that I thought would make me successful, or there's something I can deliver value to. So hands to camera, if you commit to reach out to somebody in the next 24 hours from that list. The people who commit to their success become successful. The people who don't, well, results may vary. Without further ado, Dave, I know you've been super patient as we went through some of our troubles with these slides, and I promised you I was going to get you on at 7:30. Let's give Dave a big round of applause for being so patient. He's going to teach you tonight how to protect yourself as a landlord. Remember, each one of you wants to be a landlord because that's how you get passive income. Without further ado, I give you the great, the one, the only, the legendary David Pickron. Let's give him a round of applause as we bring him on.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Hey, Walter, we kind of started out, we kind of talked and saying, hey, let's get in the game. Let's buy a property. Let's build our wealth, But I know RIAs around the country, I know Boston RIA isn't just all about buy the property and we're going to go away and leave you on your own. You buy the property, you get great supporting vendors that help you, rehab that property, help you find the right renters, which we're going to do tonight.
Hey, David, I gotta tell you, you are coming in with some high energy. The speakers aren't picking it up. Anybody else noticing there's something wrong with the speakers?
Yeah, I think you have a bad connection again, Dave.
But you can see his energy. You can see his, yeah, he's got the right knowledge.
He's going to reconnect.
Awesome. So while he is preparing to get himself ready, let me tell you, Dave is a phenomenal real estate investor, a very intelligent person. He wants to see you successful. So he put this presentation together as a way for you to learn. There is no sales pitch. There is no buy now. This is one of the big value adds that this community puts together for you so you can gain information, take the information, then take knowledge, take action and apply it. So without further ado, I give you, hopefully, David Pickron.
I'm back. Is that any better?
10 times better, brother.
Okay. Maybe just the connection after that hour just kind of decided to fizzle. But Walter, I appreciate everything you bring here so far tonight because it seems like when people come to a RIA for the first time, I know we have seasoned people on this call tonight, but they're thinking about, RIAs just help me buy the property. They help me find the property. They help me maybe find somebody to help me with the money, right? But I'm telling you, this RIA, Boston RIA, will take you all the way through. No matter what you do, there's all kinds of components to investing. And so you're not going to be left wondering, what do I do? There's constant professionals around you. And tonight we want to talk to the long-term hold landlords or to the people who want to be a long-term hold. Walter talks about, a little bit of money he's made. He talks about doubling his income and all that. But what I really know, and I don't know Walter real well, but what I really know is Walter loves his time. He loves his time, right? Because money buys him time. He leaves all of his properties up there in Boston. Someone else runs them, and he lays on the beach all day down there in Florida. So I'm grateful to be part of this team. And tonight we are going to really discuss, once you buy a property and you're going to plan on holding it, what do you do? Now, Walter, unmute yourself. I got to ask you a few questions.
I'm ready to go, brother.
Okay. We know how valuable the sticks and mortars, the properties, the appreciation, we know how valuable the buildings are. But how valuable is the right tenant?
Well, they pay rent, so extremely valuable. The wrong tenant costs money. The right tenant makes money.
Exactly. So if you buy a home and it sits there and just sits there empty, do you have any scratch in your pocket? No. So we need to make sure what I call the second investment, and that is find the right person to take care of your first investment, right? So think about this. If rent was $2,000 a month, okay, and I know Boston, that's probably low, and you found the right person to move into your place and rent your place for 5 years, how much is that person worth to you?
$126,000, man.
Exactly. Do we really look at these people that are looking at our property or going to rent from us? Do we look at them as over $100,000 value? And I want to look at them that way tonight because they are very, very important. I see people jump fences, look through windows, buy these assets, and then the first guy who shows them money, they let them move in, and it ruins their place, and they have a big rehab, and they think, wait a minute, Walter taught me how to buy the home. Oh, he didn't tell me how to keep it in great shape, right? He didn't teach me how to upgrade it and then sell it for the best, money that I can get a couple of years ago. Or a couple of years down the road. So here we're going to talk about people tonight. I want you guys to know on the call, you're not property managers. You're people managers. You're in the people business now. I go from real estate investor, which honestly I love. I've been doing it for many, many years. I'm an investor myself. And then I swing over to this landlord housing provider type of role. And all of a sudden now I have to start dealing with people. Properties were really fun for me, right? And so now I've got to make this job of dealing with people really fun for me too. And so Rent Perfect has kind of put together this package. We don't have anything to sell to you guys tonight. When we get done, you're not going to be, thinking, wow, this is expensive. We are here purely on an education mindset tonight. But also I want to let you know, we are going to face some realities tonight. 2 nights ago, I thought I had the Delta variant of COVID. And then I realized they just continued the eviction moratorium. And then I realized, oh, man, I'd rather have the Delta variant 2 nights ago than to get that thing continued. But, if you're like me, you kind of throw your temper tantrum and you say, oh, this is ridiculous. They're taking my private property. And you have this fight. And then you sit back and you say, okay, it is what it is. How do I deal with this, right? How do I get through this? The reality is anytime there's a hardship in investing or in the world, there's opportunities. Just look at 2008, 2009, when we had a housing crisis. Yeah, a lot of people lost their house, but a lot of investors made a ton of money. So just know that anytime something starts getting hard, the weak guys are going to go, the strong guys are going to stay. If you have somebody like Boston Rhea and Walter in your corner, you're going to be part of that really strong bunch that's going to make it through and make the money. So we're going to get rolling tonight, but in order to be a successful landlord, we got to kind of know what's coming against us. So we've been real positive tonight. Investing is the best business in the world, and I love it. I'm got 14 units myself. I've got 2 more I'm building right now. I'm continuing to build my portfolio too. This is the best business in the world, but we got to know what faces us so we can make a plan and get around it. So are you guys ready to maybe have some fun tonight, but also face some facts of what we have stacked against us? And if you're ready to do that, Heather, I want to introduce Heather Johnson. She's my sidekick. She's customer service for all of the Rheas. Guys, I kind of jumped in hot and heavy. My mic was not working right, but I am a private investigator. I'm out here in Arizona. I've been an investor for about 30 years now. I deal with long-term rentals. I have a lot of short-term rentals. I have some commercial property, some land. So I do quite a bit, and I kind of adjust. I kind of go with the market. I kind of see what's out there, and I also kind of see what opportunities come to me. But lo and behold, other than probably land, people are important. And so let's talk about people, and let's talk about why the government doesn't want you to find the right people. Because if all we're renting to are with people with high credit scores, no criminal history, the government has a serious problem. So they're kind of saying, hey, listen, we've got a problem and we're going to put it on the landlord's backs because we're not smart enough to solve it. And that's what they're doing to us right now. But we're up for the challenge and we're going to get through this. So Heather, I'm coming in hot and heavy tonight. Let's share our screen and let's get rolling. We got about 55 minutes to roll through here. We are going to roll through. If you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the chat box. If I see them as we're rolling, I might address them. If not, when we stop, we'll go ahead and address all of those questions. Okay, so can everybody see that screen okay? Heather, that's a little big on mine. It's like over modulated. Are you seeing that okay, Walter?
Oh, he's muted.
Okay. We might be missing the word there. It says an investigative screening com.
Okay, so you're
it's
even
cutting off on the end.
Yeah, shrink that up a little bit, Heather. Just,
How about now?
yes. Good?
Perfect.
We're all good.
Are you
All
good?
right.
Okay. I don't know what I did.
Okay, so we're talking about the federal government kind of saying, hey, we've got a problem with drugs. We got a problem with homelessness. We got a problem with high housing prices. We have a housing crisis. And guess what? I don't see a bunch of buildings being built around cities around this country that are public housing. I don't see big skyscrapers going up where the government is providing all this housing. I see them in a way taking our private homes and creating government houses with our private homes. So we're turning private housing into public housing. Now that sounds depressing, and I didn't want to come tonight to be depressing, but the reality is you are today in this current state, you are partners with the federal government as a housing provider. Because if you think you own your property, go try to do an eviction right now and see what the courts do. So we're going to talk about today how we take an environment like that and we get through it, we manage it, and we still make money through it. Think about this. Who didn't get hurt last year in this whole COVID? What landlords didn't get hurt? Heather, what landlords didn't get hurt in 2020 and beginning of 2021?
Landlords with the right tenants.
If you
Had
had
the right
the right
tenants in there.
tenant,
It was
you
all
didn't
about
even-
who was in the property.
Exactly. You didn't even know there was eviction moratorium if that check just kept coming in. But the minute that check didn't come in, you said, wait, why aren't you paying? You know, I had a property where I wasn't going to evict them for a non-payment of rent, but I said, hey, I'm going to give you a 30-day notice. Your kids light my house on fire. And she says, oh, you know, I have COVID. You know, my point is they knew, these renters knew about this eviction moratorium. They read about it, they get online, and they're educated nowadays. And so if you had the right tenant, you didn't get phased. If you had the wrong tenants, you're sitting on this call with tears in your eyes going, when is it ever going to end? It's going to end. I am going to predict. This is crazy. Don't kill me. Hear me out. I'm glad this eviction moratorium got extended 2 nights ago. I think if it went away, now listen to this. I think if it went away and no one ever addressed it, it would come up again in the future. But I'm seeing something right now that people are so mad about. It's all over the news. It's in the newspaper. It's online. People are finally saying this is so bad. I'm hoping, and I feel like the Supreme Court is going to come back, smack this down, and make a ruling for a lifetime, a precedence. That's what we need. We need someone to say, you couldn't do this now and you can't do it in the future. 2 days ago, it was over, but no one said they couldn't do it in the future. So I'm hoping and praying that in this 2 months' time, things go to court. You know, there's Supreme Justices that are a little pissed off right now that they kind of got hammered, and hopefully they drop the hammer on this government, let them know they can't take our private property. So it's bad if you're not getting rent, but in the long run, I'm actually kind of glad this got continued so we can really get some answers. So if you guys think that landlords are the only ones under a lot of regulation, listen, they're really coming after me right now. I'm considered a credit reporting agency. I'm considered a private investigator who goes out and gets information on people and reports it to landlords. They want to shut me up. They want to say, hey, if we can shut Dave up, the landlords won't find out that information, and the landlords will end up renting to these applicants. So we got to find a way to shut the screening companies up. All right, so we're getting more and more regulations. Listen to this crazy thing. Last week, LA County over in California has been a mess for a long time. They redacted all of their criminal files everywhere. So when you go to the court now and you're looking for a John Smith, you have 200 John Smiths you're looking through with no date of birth, no addresses, no socials, nothing to tell if it's the right John Smith or not. So they say, hey, we have public records, come look at them. But if I can't tell as a private investigator if it's the person who's applying with you, I can't report it. And so there's all this little funny business happening around jurisdictions around the country. So they're not only coming after landlords, they're coming after us too. But we're finding ways to beat that. There's a lot of bans and limits on criminal history. You know, Chicago just came out and said you can't use any eviction history data until 2022 on people in Cook County. So you can't report evictions, you can't report past due late payments. And they're getting in our business. I think as landlords, we want to know that, but they once again know if we find out the right information, we're not going to rent to these people. Louisville, Kentucky, people with a criminal history are now a protected class. Okay, the same as race, the same as familial status. You get a criminal history, you are a protected class. Where are these guys coming up with this stuff? It just is crazy. You know about the eviction moratoriums. And we also used to worry about the federal government, what we call the FCRA. But now we're worrying about counties, and now cities are getting involved. We have so much legislation coming from so many different areas. It's important that you know your local regulation, your county regulation, your state regulation. It's just getting crazy. We used to be able to keep up with it all, and it's just real difficult for us now to keep up with it all. Heather, let's go on.
Yeah, real quick. I saw a video yesterday and it was just kind of kidding around about, remember in high school when your teacher would threaten you like, hey, you don't want that to end up on your permanent record. That's going to ruin your life. Well, like kids aren't going to know what that's talking about anymore. No. Like I thought the point of a criminal history was to, it's a criminal record. Like it's going to be on your record for a reason. So people know that you have that risk, but just crazy what we're going through.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, take this one. Talk to us a little bit about credit bureaus and are they important to us as landlords?
I mean, they're still important. Criminal history is still important. It's just changing depending on where you live. You need to be careful, watch out. But kind of the same kind of bull crap is going on with credit bureaus, excuse me. But credit bureaus are just kind of losing their value. They're using vital information. We're kind of in this day and age of like not wanting to hurt people's feelings. And the credit bureaus are, getting involved because they were reporting judgments on people's credit reports. They weren't doing their due diligence. So they were reporting invalid information and getting lawsuits. So a couple of years ago, the credit bureau said, hey, we're done. We're not reporting evictions, judgments, liens on credit bureaus anymore. So you may have known that, but if you didn't, that's huge. That's important information that we need to see on these credit bureaus, and it's no longer there. So what happened was the scores started going up. What were you going to say?
No, I was going to say, which makes us as investigators have to go get all that data from other resources, which we do. So our clients still get eviction judgments and liens, but if you're getting just
it's not on credit report,
not going to be done.
Yeah.
But I loved where you were going. Tell us about the credit scores around the United States.
Yeah, so you may have started seeing, some articles going around and just they're putting a spin on it like, oh, consumer credit scores are on the rise. And it's like, well, yeah, they're on the rise because you're taking the negative reporting out of these algorithms. So the average score was jumping up a bit. I mean, not too terribly, and then you might have seen stuff like Experian Boost, and it's encouraging consumers to report. They're doing self-reporting for their bureaus with utilities and phones. And that's great. You want to see that someone pays on time. But the scary part is behavior hasn't changed. People are still getting sued. They're still getting evictions, or, eventually they will again. But it's just not showing up on the reporting. And so it's like it's there. The behavior is not changing, but it's just sort of hidden now.
So scoring has gone up, behaviors haven't changed. So we need to know that as landlords, and we need to adjust that. Our average renter coming through Rent Perfect used to have a 625 FICO score. They now have a 650 FICO score. This country is not getting better at paying its bills. It can't even pay its rent. You guys are seeing that. It's just that it's not being reported. And as we report credit payments every month to the credit bureau as Rent Perfect for our clients, they only want the good payments. They don't want the bad payments. We're not allowed to report a non-payment. Think of that. So when you look at someone's credit bureau, I hope it's great. I hope it's fantastic, and I hope you like it. But does it show us as much as it used to? No. So can we just get a credit report and rely just on a credit report? The answer is no, we can't. If we do that, we're losing so much information, and that might mean an eviction, or that might mean a successful rental just based on the information that you grab.
Yeah. So if you were one of those people, or you've heard of those people that just, oh yeah, just give me a credit report, I can make a good decision. You're going to get some value out of a credit report. Don't get me wrong, but you can't just rely on one thing anymore. Same with criminal history. I mean, you might even live in a county or a city or have a property there that you can't even use it. So you can't just rely on one thing anymore. And so that's just how things are changing.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. So, guys, I never thought I'd say this to on a Zoom call, in a live, presentation, screen like you can't evict a tenant. I never thought that literally we would be in the position where we couldn't evict our tenants who weren't paying us rent. That blows me away. Now, I just talked about, I'm hoping the Supreme Court comes in and lays down something that'll last for our lifetimes. But if they don't, the camel's got its nose underneath the tent one time. The next time there's a hurricane, the next time there's a disaster, the next time there's something, they're going to say, hey, we went to that eviction moratorium before, let's do it again. So we need to put people into our rentals that can survive these tough times. We're looking for people who have great behavior, have great responsibility. Some of my tenants, listen, they lost their jobs. A couple of them were waiters. They lost their jobs. They went and got unemployment. There's nothing wrong with that in my book, but they paid their rent off their unemployment instead of looked online and said, I'm not going to pay my rent and I'm going to go below my unemployment on a big screen TV. We're looking for behavior. So we're not even saying that the right tenant last year was the guy who had a middle management job, made a lot of money. No. We're just saying the guy who had his priorities in the right place to make sure you as the landlord were made whole. That's what we're going to teach you tonight, is to find that person that if this ever happens again, 2020 ever repeats, you're going to survive this thing. And I think you're interested in that. And if I was Walter, I'd say hands up to the camera, because that is what you want. And that's what we're going to give you tonight. Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about tonight, the very first thing, if you're taking notes, taking screenshots, we're going to talk about a detailed rental criteria. If you're a seasoned landlord on this phone call, I hope that you know what this is. A rental criteria nowadays is so critical. The days when you show your property to someone and you size them up and you ask them a few questions and you decide whether you like them and you decide if you're going to give them a chance to rent your place are gone. When people say they want to apply with you, they have to be put through your rental criteria filter to see if they qualify. Okay. Fair housing wants you to treat everybody the same. And if you don't have a detailed rental criteria right now, then you cannot prove that you're treating everybody the same. So even if you're treating everybody the same, but you don't have a detailed rental criteria, you can't prove you are. So what a detailed rental criteria does is it proves to fair housing that you're going by the same guidebook on every single applicant and treating them all the same. Now, don't worry about writing all this down. We're actually going to show you a detailed rental criteria here in a second. And if you want one emailed to you and a sample, you can email info@rentperfect.com and we will get you a copy of a detailed rental criteria. We're going to show it to you in a minute. But a detailed rental criteria, if you don't have one, the first person that applies is approved. Okay? If you don't have a detailed rental criteria, you can't even make any kind of judgment other than hand over the keys and let them move in. Your detailed rental criteria needs to have evictions, judgments, and liens. How do you feel about those? Okay. Collections, credit score requirements. It needs to have that in there. It needs to talk about criminal records and what you expect. Income ratios, rental history. You need to disclose policies like no smoking or no pets. This is a document that is going to save your life and it's going to make managing so much easier. And we're going to make it real easy for you to get tonight.
Yeah.
Let's show it to him, Heather.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, so I have my first rental. So I moved out of my house. That was the strategy David helped me with. And we're renting that house. It's a great little rental. I love that house. And I was a little terrified when I first was preparing for it. because it was during this moratorium, and I was like, oh my gosh, what if I get someone in there? And Dave's like, hey, you know what you're doing. You just need your rental criteria. Have your rental criteria ready. That's going to be your rock. That's how you're going to get someone in there that you know is, the lowest risk you can get. You're going to get the right person in there, and they're going to pay you. So you don't need to worry about it. So
Heather, you were saying, what's my first step, Dave? What's my first step? You got the property. What's my first step? I said, do your rental criteria. You're like, no, shouldn't I put it online first? No. You have to know who you're looking for. You have to visualize that applicant coming in. Is your criteria different if it's in a rough part of town than if you have a really expensive and a nice part of town? Yes, the criteria is totally different. So the first thing you need to do is get your rental criteria. Who do you want to live in that property?
Yep. And I used that. That's what I fell back on, because I had some people come through that weren't meeting my criteria. And I was so glad that I could fall back on that, because if I didn't have that, Fair Housing would have said, too bad, they're approved because you didn't have a rental criteria. So, all right.
So you let one person go that didn't match your rental criteria because that's what you're supposed to do. And a few people later, you found the golden renter that's prepaid you, right? Works at Mayo Clinic, makes a ton of money. Right, because you were brave enough to say, hey, listen, I'm sticking to my criteria and I'm sorry you don't match it. You're not the person I'm looking for. I mean, you don't want to tell them that, but in your mind.
Yeah, I mean, declining someone's not fun. I mean, I feel like I went through this initiation, but it's necessary. Right. And what makes it easy is when you can blame the rental criteria. Oh, this is my, it's a business. Yeah. And you didn't meet the criteria. I can't approve you. This is my criteria for Fair Housing. So
turn it back on Fair Housing. Fair Housing makes me stick to my rental criteria. You're declined because of Fair Housing, not because of me.
This is what we got. Yeah.
Right.
And you share that with them ahead of time. So you can say, hey, I shared the rental criteria. I mean, I had it in my listing. Look at the rental criteria. And then I remind them, look at the rental criteria before you apply. So you can read through this. And then if they still apply and they don't meet it, you can say, hey, I told you. Look at the rental criteria. If you didn't do that, then that's kind of on them.
Okay, we'll talk a little bit more about that here in a little bit. Let's show them what a sample rental criteria looks like. Now, this is a sample. I don't want you guys to take this, use this. This is not for your property. This is for a high-end property I have in Scottsdale. It's kind of written a little bit higher, but you can take it and see kind of what we're talking about, what it looks like, how it reads, and we'll give you this sample to make these adjustments. Now, just as important as the topics, this is important how we word our rental criteria. Here's an example of the importance of how we word it. And underneath criminal history here, our criminal criteria, and I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it says any felony relating to or regarding a person, property, or drug-related criminal activity in the past 7 years from the date of the investigative report to the date of the conviction, release from custody or parole, whichever occurs last. That release from custody or parole, or whichever occurs last, is what our attorneys put in there to say, listen, this is what's really going to give you a lot of protection. If you don't put that in there and just stop as no crimes in the last 7 years, you're going to have somebody who got convicted 8 years ago, went to prison, and is now getting out and applying at your property. And they're going to say, hey, my crime was 8 years ago. But when we add on release from custody or parole, we go 7 years from that. That allows them to be in society for 7 years. That allows them to be in situations where they can recommit a crime if they have the opportunity. We want to know if someone has the opportunity, are they going to recommit a crime or not? So time has to go by. So make sure if you're designing your own detailed criteria that you word that way. Fair Housing lets us go, without giving us a hard time, 7 years from the last occurrence of something, okay? So you actually can go 14 years off of a murder charge or a rape charge or whatever. I know you guys are saying, I don't ever want to rent to that guy, and I'll show you how we can keep them out in a second. But we want to get more time behind these serious crimes, so make sure you have that worded correctly. Here are misdemeanors kind of worded the same way. It says 5 years. Yours might say 5-year felony, 3-year misdemeanor. You might say, I don't care about misdemeanors. We accept misdemeanors. Rent Perfect doesn't care about your criteria. We don't care what your parameters are. We just want you to stay consistent with that. Now, any sexual related crimes and offenses, we can usually go forever. And that is the only category fair housing will let us go, because there is study after study that says you're never rehabilitated from a sex crime. You never recover. And since there's so much data saying you're still kind of a danger throughout your life, they allow us to just wash that of our rental properties. But anything other than that, if you said no felony record ever, we're in trouble, because you can only go back 7 years from the last incident. I hope that makes sense to you. But then you want to go through your eviction criteria. Do you want to allow somebody with an open eviction? Do you want to allow someone who's currently getting evicted right now and wants to move into your place? I don't want that person. If you left the last landlord that way, how are you going to leave me, Heather? I mean, we see it all the time, right? We see people that say, oh, but their last landlord, he wasn't very good, and he didn't go make the phone calls. And so I want these guys to come move in with me, with my property. And we're like, are you crazy? You're no better landlord than the last landlord. They're going to leave you the exact same way. So I ask everybody on this call tonight, can an applicant who has a bad history, whether it's criminal, credit, eviction, can they be nice? Do they want a unit? Yeah, they do. So we have to flush that out the door and just really stick to our rental criteria and our criminal, credit, and eviction background check. Yeah. All right. How do you feel about, Heather, how do you feel about unpaid rental collections in your property?
So I was just going to bring that up. I'm like, what do you want to deal with? Like, what kind of life do you want to have when you have these rental properties and you're collecting rent? Because I want to be like smiling, texting David, like, you just paid early. This is awesome. I just got my mortgage paid. I don't want to be texting David like, oh my gosh, they're not paying rent. Like, I'm going to have, how do I get a collection filed? Like, I don't want to go through that. So that's my personal, goals. I don't know, I'm not in a position to be like wanting to help people right now. I mean, you are helping them, don't get me wrong, but I don't want to deal with someone with collections. Absolutely not.
Right. But we have a ton
I don't want to deal with it.
We have a ton of clients that have some properties in some rough part of town, and they don't even do credit checks. They only do criminal checks. Or maybe in another part of town, they just do credit checks and don't want to do criminal checks. However they want to manage their property, that's okay.
Yeah, but for me,
for me and where my properties are and how expensive my properties are, I want everything. So this is why my criteria is written like this. I don't want to be in eviction court. I don't have time. Walter and we got to be down on the beach doing a lot of things in the future, and I don't have time to be in court. So that's the way that I manage. That's my strategy. We also have clients who actually their strategy is to rehabilitate people coming out of prison, move into their homes, and get them going into society. If that's their strategy, their criteria is going to be totally different. That's just not my criteria or my strategy. So just know there's a ton of different strategies here. I'm not trying to tell everybody on this call that you got to do my strategy. I'm just kind of telling you where I'm coming from. And then also you need to get to know credit scores. We talked a little bit about how they've gone up a little bit. We usually say 700 can buy a home, 650 average renter, and below 500, they haven't paid anybody, just to give you an idea as you do that. If you need any help with your rental criteria as far as credit, you don't fully understand it, give Heather a call. She's a master at that.
Yeah, but I might tell you though, I mean, and Walter talked about this, you need someone in your market and outside your market. I might be outside your market, so I can kind of give you general ideas, but you got to know your market, because David already mentioned this, but if your criteria is too high, you're not going to be able to approve anyone. But if it's too low, you're just going to you might get a problem in there. So you got to find your sweet spot in your area, and you might need to do a little research in your area if you're not sure. But yeah.
Yeah, because we want you to find the best possible person that's available in your area. You might have a home in a part of town where a 700 FICO score is never showing up to. They never drive through there, only during the daytime when their doors are locked. But if you have property, there's probably still money to make there, but you want to find the best in that area. And so maybe your approved score is a 540. And if you found someone a 540 in that area, you'd be like hitting gold. maybe your area, you even find anybody who even has a FICO score, it's gold. So just know we want you to find the best people in the area of your rental. All right, Heather, take it away on the next page. Talk a little bit about the tenant advisory.
So another important part we like to include in our rental criteria is this tenant advisory. And these are just things you want to advise the tenant of before they're applying. This shows that you're trying to help them be successful. Unfortunately, landlords or housing providers, as some are wanting to call us now, are getting a bad, people are just dogging on landlords, and I just think it's messed up. But this is how you can show that you are one of the landlords that's the good guy. You're trying to help your tenants be successful because their success is your success. If you get someone that is going to struggle to afford your property, then you're not going to be successful either. And then these are just things that'll also show a judge, if you do end up in court, that you did your best to try and disclose everything you could to this tenant to help them be successful. So kind of obvious things, but reviewing the lease, reviewing the HOAs to make sure that they're going to be in compliance. And just letting them know important things prior to applying. Because remember, you're going to give this rental criteria before they apply so that they have a chance to review it and decide if they still want to apply. So this is a great spot to put in your pet policies, smoking policies. And then these are some new strategies that we'll talk about in a little bit. So this is kind of the teaser of them. But what do you require for them to get approved as far as proving their income, proving rental history? And this is all stuff you want to disclose ahead of time so that you can say, hey, don't say I didn't tell you so.
Perfect. And then, so this criteria we're showing you is all built within our Rent Perfect system. If you're a Rent Perfect client, you already know you push a few buttons and we help build this for you. Super simple. This goes out to every one of your applicants before they apply to their email. So this is super simple, but we are going to give this in case you need to put it on a Word document, carry it around with you and hand it to people as you show them the property. So to continue on, in the gray section is kind of an open section in our system where we have you can put anything you want in there. You can put income ratios, you can put criminal history, you can put anything that has to do with your property or your area, or maybe there's a law or rule where you have to notify them of something prior to them applying. You can put it all in here in our system. And then the last thing we kind of covers at the very bottom is we see a lot of fraud. The reality is if I'm applying at multiple properties and they're telling me no, I soon have to realize I'm wasting a lot of application fees. And so I'm going to figure out, how are they finding this criminal record of mine? How are they finding this bad credit score? Is it my social security number I need to change? Is it my date of birth I need to change? Do I need to change some spelling of my name? Do I need to start using my middle name? Do I need to go back to use my maiden name? I mean, there's all kinds of crazy things that we are seeing when people have a serious criminal history. They can't get through right now our system with telling us the truth. So we also, as private investigators, have to look for those that are trying to commit fraud through our system. So they're answering 4 out-of-pocket questions. They're uploading their IDs. They're uploading all kinds of bank statements and documents that we're cross-referencing as PIs to say, if you've built this whole, bunch of paperwork with all this name on it and you've tricked the DMV, then, we still have ways where we go back to the federal government and we double check the social security number and we make sure that the social security number is theirs and that it's who they apply for. So we let them know if we see any fraud at all, that your application is denied and we are moving on to somebody else, no questions asked. Did I miss anything there, Heather?
Yeah, well, I was just going to point out a big one that I see is using a friend's or a sibling's identity. So it's so important that you see these people in person. We'll talk a little bit about that in a minute here, but you got to see them and look at the ID, look at them and make sure it's the same person. Especially if you're not using an online system. If you're getting like paper applications still, if you are, you really should be getting online. But if that's your style, sometimes you'll show the property, they'll show their ID then, but then when they go fill out their application, now they're putting different information. So you need to be careful and just make sure, because that's a huge way that people are committing fraud right now. And what we see. So
So I got a phone call a couple weeks ago, and it's not an uncommon phone call, but a client called me and said, David, I'm a little mad at Rent Perfect. Your system is not working for my tenant. They're having all kinds of problems. They can't get through your system. What's wrong with your system? And Heather, you took that phone call after I did. I forwarded it to you. And what happened to it?
Well, I called the applicant, and it's a RIA member, so we like to give them, special attention. And I called his applicant and I said, okay, well, I'm going to give you we can reset your identity questions so that you can come through and try these again. They answer 4 questions that are generated based on, name, social, address, things like that. And I said, I just need to look up your application to reset this. What's the last 4 of your social? Dead silence. And I thought, that's a little weird. But in my head, I'm like, okay, maybe he's like 18, the first time using his social. He's like, oh yeah, that's in my car, and I'm sorry about that. I'm like, oh, okay, no problem. What's your date of birth? I can look it up that way. Dead silence again. And then I knew. I'm like, he doesn't even know the date of birth that he's put on this application. This is a huge red flag. So I'm trying to play it cool because I'm not interested in getting into any kind of argument with this guy about why he might not know his date of birth. But we kind of awkwardly end the phone call, and I give the landlord a call. I'm like, hey, have you seen this guy? And he's like, hey, I've been so busy, I haven't had a chance to take a look at his ID that he uploads. He pulls it up and he's like, oh my gosh, this is not my guy. This is not him at all. So he had uploaded, I don't know who it was, someone else's ID. Maybe it was a friend, maybe it was a sibling, but the landlord caught it right there. He's like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad that, I was able to catch this. Thanks for reminding me to look at these pictures. So that's just one example. We see stuff like that all the time.
So sometimes when you think our system isn't working, it actually is working. Because a lot of people are used to just systems that don't matter. Everybody gets through. In our system, not everybody gets through. We need to know who you are, and we need to know your identity. So if you use Rent Perfect in the future and your tenants are going, I can't get through their system, I don't know it, it's their fault. Just know that there's probably more to the story as they apply with us. So
yeah, who the person is on paper is only good if it's actually them. So if you want to write to the rent person, but you want to make sure it's really them, because otherwise, obviously, that's useless.
And that's why I like to show my properties.
Disappointed.
That's why I like to show my properties in person. There's a lot of services out there. I won't name the 7 popular ones that want to put a lockbox and go self-show and go see it. I think it's so important that we show the property, we see the people, we talk to them. I mean, if these are truly our $120,000 investment, don't you want to meet them in person for the first time? I certainly think I do. And so I find out so much. I'm a private investigator, guys. How do you think a walkthrough of a home goes with me? I'm peppering with a ton of questions. And the reality is a lot of times I don't even care about the answer. I'm reading their body language. Do you know if the human mind lies, it takes them a second to realize, first of all, if they even want to lie, and another second to say what is going to be my lie. And so if you ask somebody a question and they're going to lie to you, they are going to have this moment that you're going to pick up of that just doesn't make sense. People who tell the truth don't even have to think twice about it. It's kind of like if any of you try to speak Spanish and you go down to Mexico and you say, ¿Cómo se llama? And then they come back and they start going. You're like, oh, wait a minute. I had to stop and really think about the things I said. And when you truly learn a language, you don't ever think about it at first. It just comes out. So lying is the similar and same way. So ask a lot of questions. You're still going to use your criteria to qualify them, right? But you're going to really see if they're being straight with you or not and give you an idea about how honest these applicants are with you. I mean, simple questions like, hey, where are you coming from? Tell me about your last place you lived in. Where are you working? How long you've been working there? I mean, just really pepper them with a lot of questions. That's my style. That's what I do. And it helps me to really understand who my next business partner is going to be. We talk about partners a lot. Your renter is your business partner. That's going to be your partner for the next 5 years. So, all right, let's move on, Heather. Okay, we're gonna go over this real quick. An adverse action letter, for those of you new or those of you who've been around a while, hopefully you know what an adverse action letter is. It's not just a decline letter that says you didn't qualify. You actually have to send all of this language that gives them their rights from the government. Make sure you know how to correctly use an adverse action letter. If you use Rent Perfect, you push a few buttons, adverse action letter gets sent off, and you're in compliance. But that's important to know when you have to decline someone.
Yeah, we'll move on. If you want a sample adverse action letter, you can also email info@rentperfect.com. You can also email for that sample criteria. You should be customizing that criteria, of course, to meet your property's needs, your strategies to help you get the right person. So we'll move on.
Okay. Hey, I love this. So part of my style always changes. We're always thinking, right? Here comes a regulation. Here comes COVID. Here comes this and that. And we're always thinking, how can we beat the system, or how can we rise above and find the best applicants? I mean, this sounds bad, but how can I push all the bad applicants off to everybody else and keep the best for myself? That's what you're going to learn. That's what you're going to learn here in the RIA, right? You're going to learn here in the RIA is, how do I get the best applicants and push everybody else off to everyone where they can get a roof over their head, just not my roof. But I love this new thing called a code word or a code phrase that we've been teaching. And I'm going to have Heather, just went through this 2-3 weeks ago. Heather, tell us about your listing on Zillow using a code word.
I'll try and go through this quickly. I know we're getting short on time, so stop me if I start rambling, because I just love this so much, and it was just a fun experience. So I use Zillow. First of all, I don't use their application. I don't recommend using their application. There's a setting on Zillow that you can opt out of their application. I don't like their applications. You'll get way too many people just clicking apply, and it's going to give you a lot of work when you don't need that. But anyway, in my listing in Arizona, we have a shortage of properties. I'm sure you have similar in your areas, but we have a shortage of properties. We have a lot of applicants. I had like 30 people interested in one day. So David taught me to put a code word in my listings for, this applies right now, to help filter through that, to see who's actually reading my listing. Because you want someone, if you want someone that's going to stay for 5 years, you want someone that wants your property. You don't want someone that's desperate out there just clicking apply on every single property, hoping to get in anywhere. That's not the person that I want, because I want someone that's really going to love my property, going to take care of it and stay for a while. So in my listing at the bottom, my code word is kind of a new strategy we have as well. I put, I will not respond to you unless you say, I understand that I must provide 12 months bank statements with my application. That was my code word. And I put my Zillow listing up, and then I waited, and I'm like, first rental property. So I'm like super anxious, and I'm like wanting someone to say my code word. And a little bit of time went by, not that much, I think like a day. And I text David, I'm like, so how long would you wait for the code word? He's like, settle down, grasshopper, we'll get you. Just give it a little bit of time. Someone's going to come through. And sure enough, when I first got that first code word come through, I was so excited. I texted him like, hey, I got the code word. And you could tell in the personality that they're like reading the listing, and they're like, oh, I love the tangelo tree in your backyard. This is awesome. And I understand I need to provide a 12 months bank statement. So I'm like, oh, perfect. Because that's going to make it a lot less awkward during my application process. We're going to go over that in a little bit. 12 months bank statements might sound like a lot. So I was glad that I got that in the open, but that's just an example of a code word to help get someone that's really interested in your property, instead of one of those people that's just apply.
So let's analyze that behavior real quick, right? So they sent you back the code word. How did they know that you wanted to send them back a code word? They read your whole paragraph, because your code word was at the end, right?
Right.
So they had to read the whole paragraph. So moving forward, when they become our business partner and you hand them a lease, are they ever going to say, well, I didn't understand what was in the lease, or I didn't right? They're not going to say, oh, I didn't know it didn't have a pool. Oh, I didn't know you weren't allowed to have pet. I mean, they read your complete Zillow ad, and a lot of your Zillow ad, I know because I saw it, had a lot of your criteria in it too. Wasn't your code word, but so when you started your relationship with this person, you were already way ahead with
Yeah, I was trying to
the-
save myself time too. I'm so
Yeah.
busy right now. I'm pregnant right now, and we are moving into a new build, and I didn't
Right.
want to take the time to read
Right.
through 30 applications. So
Right.
this is a good strategy for right now, especially when the moratorium ends,
Right.
and it will end. And a lot of people are applying. You want to weed out the people that are desperate because they're desperate now. They haven't been paying their rent for a year. So they're
Well,
really wanting to get in somewhere. So.
Let's move through some of this stuff real quick. Obviously, get the property in great shape. The way you give it to your applicant or your new tenant is the way you're going to get it back, or worse. If you show that you don't care about it, you're saying, I don't care if you care about it or not. So make sure it's in great shape. If that's the way you manage, show the property in person. We talked about that a little bit. Watch for red flags. I talked a little bit about being an investigator, asking a lot of questions. Red flags are if they pull up with a moving truck and then you need to move in tonight, that is a no-go. There is nobody who shops for a house tonight to move into. So know that we have a whole series of red flag videos. If they try to be your friend, ask you to dinner, to try to chum up to you, show you money, try to impress you, these are all red flags of people that are trying to get in your good graces. So when you find that criminal history or that low credit score or that eviction, you're going to overlook it because you're just so impressed at how nice these people are. Don't fall for it. Have your rental criteria ready. We talked about giving that at the time of showing. Pre-screen with an application fee. You do this all through the Rent Perfect system, but in case you're not using our system, make sure you charge. You make them put their money where their mouth is. Get $50 from them for an application fee. If they don't think they can pass your criteria, it's going to cost them $50 to try. That application fee is a huge pre-screener. Make sure that you put that into your process. We talked about code words, but I love neighbors. And Heather, I hate to keep going back to you, but tell me about your neighbors.
Yeah, well, just if you don't know your neighbors, get to know. I don't know how you're coming across the property. I was living in my property, moved out. But it came to be that my neighbor friend that I was planning on helping me keep an eye on my rental moved. She decided she was one of those people that sold because the property value was so high. So she moved. Luckily, I got to be there when the new owners were moving in. So I walked over, introduced myself. We were excited. I told them I was going to be renting the place. Their face kind of fell. And I was like, oh, don't worry. I'm going to screen really well. They were nervous that I was just going to let the first person in there that can happen. But it was great because, they're like, oh yeah, we'll help you keep an eye on the property. We'll let you know if anything super shady is going on. I mean, not in a creepy way, but it was great. It was a great strategy to help keep an eye on my rental because I love that home.
This year alone, I've had neighbors call me and say, there's someone on one of your rentals roof pouring down gas onto a fire and shooting fire all up the side of your house. I talked about that a little bit earlier. I've had people call me say, you need to come by and see this or I can take a picture. They pulled a mattress out of the top second story window and they're sunbathing on your roof, walking all over your tiles. I mean, I wouldn't have just happened to drive by these places at that time during the day. So to have a relationship with the neighbors is so important right now to see what is going on as you don't have time to be by your properties every second of the day. So neighbors are important.
Especially with the moratorium, because you could still, at least in Arizona, I don't know how this goes. You could still evict for lease violations. Like,
Right.
Like if they're burning your house down or their teenagers are wreaking havoc, that's a good reason to still proceed with an eviction.
Well, I call my neighbors of my rentals my Ring doorbells, right? There's eyeballs everywhere, looking everywhere right now. Everybody's working from home this last year. And so I don't even have to pay the $10 a month for the Ring doorbell. I just get them all looking at it for me.
Yeah, especially if you introduce your new tenant, like, oh, these are the neighbors.
Yeah.
We're buddies. And it's like, wink, wink. Like, don't turn this into a drug house, please.
Yeah.
But yeah, so.
All right, let's move on. Okay, guys, I want to tell you the biggest thing we're teaching this year is so old school, but it is so good. It is so dang good. We cannot, as private investigators now, go around this country and find all these evictions that weren't filed this last year because of the moratorium. Okay. If you call their current landlord of someone who hasn't paid in 12 months, do you think they're going to tell you that? Or you think they're going to tell you, oh, these guys are great. I'm sorry they have to leave. I wish I could keep them. And then secretly in the back of their head, right, they're going to be going, please take them. please take them. I need to get somebody who pays rent. So we
You
can't
gotta do what you can to survive.
we can't trust current landlords, and there's nothing in the courts for us to go look at. So instead of finding the negative stuff, let's make them prove the positive stuff. And that is, let's make them prove that they paid their rent through 12 months worth of bank statements. Let's make them prove how much money they make through 12 months worth of bank statements. I mean, the reality is, and we all as investors qualify for our homes to buy our rental homes, we're constantly giving the mortgage broker all kinds of information to prove we can afford it. And bank statements and tax records are one of the things that we give. We want you to really think about requiring 12 months bank statements right now. Look at each individual month and make sure that the money is going out of the bank account to the landlord. Heather had a situation where when she had a first person qualify, she asked them for their bank statements. They started sending her like these Zelle, wire transfers. And she's like, no,
There's
I
like
want
screenshots too. I don't like screenshots.
I want your bank statement. Let me send you each individual, and they were him and Han. She finally got the bank statement, went down and realized that September, October, and November were missing. In Heather's other hand, and Heather, I'm just going through quickly because we have time. I'm telling your story real quick. In her other hand, she has a letter from the landlord saying how great these people were, that he has to sell. And if he had another renter, he'd keep these guys for a lifetime. Exactly what we're saying. He was telling a lie in the letter to get these people out. So when Heather called back and said, hey, I don't show any income for September, October, November, the landlord said, no, I'm sure I got that.
Like, wait, what? Like,
well, maybe a church or something paid it for him. Or
I always remember that. It wasn't that long ago. And here's the thing about it. I'm going to chime in for a second. If they had come to me and said, yeah, I'm going to get you my bank statements because I already said I would. But hey, heads up, we ran into a little financial difficulties, which a lot of people did in 2020. And so on my bank statements, you're not going to see a payment, but I can give you proof that the Salvation Army paid 1 month. My wife's work helped us out with the other one. I would have admired that because that's the tenant you want. That is the person you want in your property that runs into hard times and still makes an effort and gets their rent paid. Right. They weren't able to end up proving that they had paid those months. So it was kind of just a story. And in my criteria, I don't accept more than two late payments in a year. But the point is, you want that person that jumps through those hoops and makes you a priority. That would have been great if they could have proved that. I probably still would have accepted them, but it was the dishonesty and, not talking about it. But, during COVID, especially, a lot of people lost their jobs and plenty of people kept paying their rent. They found a way. They went to family, they went to friends, their church, they got unemployment, they got rental assistance, and they actually paid. And that's the person you would want.
Now, Heather, if I asked you for 12 months of bank statements, how quickly could you get that to me?
I would jump on my phone and I would get them pretty quickly. It wouldn't be a big deal.
Because many of us, I don't want to say all of us, but many of us have our banking right on our phone. We're not writing checks anymore. And we have access to those reports and they're all downloadable. So if someone says, oh, that's too much, that's too hard. Guess what? When they got laid off their job in COVID, that might have been too hard and too much, and they weren't able to do it. I want the person who says, yeah, I'll get you 12 months. Do you want 16 months? What do you need? I will get it for you because
because they want your property too.
Exactly. And that's the person's not afraid. And that's the person that actually is going to be able to circle each of those months and prove that I paid. Because if I didn't pay, I don't want to get you those statements, because if you go through them, I'm going to get caught in a lie.
Yeah. And another part of that strategy too is you want an applicant that's going to jump through some hoops, because it shows that personality trait that they're willing to do a little bit of work. It's not even that hard of work to get what you need so that you can feel good handing those keys over. So you want to put that in your rental criteria. I use it as my code word. And if you have properties where people don't have banks, you're paying cash, obviously that's not going to apply to you. But if your property, it's going to work for your property, it's a great idea. I'm so glad I did that, because without that, I may have rented to those people and they were still struggling a bit. And I can't afford that right now.
Right. So you're going to kill your requirement right now with income verification and residential verification right now with bank statements. You're also going to get 4 months of paycheck stubs. You're going to look at the year-to-dates. You're also going to look at the amounts on the paycheck stubs per how much each per paycheck was, and see those come into those bank statements. That is proof right there of income. That is proof of payment. And that is how you're going to protect yourself right now. When we get back to filing evictions and we get back to seeing stuff on, collection accounts on credit stuff, we might get more information. But right now we don't have that information. This is how we're going to protect ourselves. We're going a little bit old school on this, but old school can produce 12 bank statements in 3 minutes, when I used to have to go to the bank, have them microfiche something, I guess I'm aging myself. Copy, then bring the papers. That was a pain. It's not a pain anymore. It's super easy to get those bank statements. I would really recommend it. Now, if you take Section 8, you need to use the same criteria, the same detailed criteria. Some people think, if I do business with the government and they're going to pay most of the rent, I don't have to do a criminal background check. I don't have to do any of this identity verification. The federal government does no criminal eviction, any kind of background check at all on their people. They'll tell you, we've screened them a little bit, but their words of screening is not our level of screening. So make sure you treat everybody the same, whether it's Section 8 housing or whether it's regular.
Yep.
All right, let's move on, Heather. I think we're probably going to cover the next slide, rental history.
Yeah.
We went through there. Okay, keep going. All right, we're going to close with this. We're getting ready, 3 minutes left, and then we're going to take some questions. And I often look at this picture and I often say, what do you guys see? And not only see, but what do you feel? Like, how does this make you feel when you look at this picture? Okay. And a lot of you are on mute right now, I know, but Heather, how does this make you feel? And I know you've seen this picture a million times.
Well, just last week I was texting you and I was like, I'm so glad I held out for those bank statements. I'm doing my happy dance. He paid rent early twice now. This is awesome. Just kind of carefree, loving life, feeling successful. That's what I see when I look at this.
So is that your tenants that moved into your property, or is that
I've always seen the tenants, but you've started teaching me. You're like, yeah, that can be tenants. That's how I used to see it before I was a landlord.
But I see that as a landlord.
Right.
I see that as I filled up my property with someone, and now I can go down and not worry about it and set it on autopilot. This can be your tenants. This can be you. If you do it the right way, go buy the right property, go put the right people in it, and there will be happy and joy. And we can let the headlines of moratoriums go and this regulation and this, and we're still going to be dancing in our living room because we do things the right way. Rent Perfect helps you do that from beginning to end. Now, real quick before I go, let me tell you how Rent Perfect works. I can be sitting at lunch with Walter. We're talking, we're having a great time. We got some drinks going, and someone calls me and says, David, I want your place at 123 First Street. Great. What's your email? Well, I usually have their cell phone number because they just called me. What's your email address? I put in a few pieces of data in my phone, and I send off an email package and a texting package to him where they click a link, fill out my online application. When they're done filling out my online application, they're uploading driver's license, bank statements, they're uploading paycheck stubs, and any kind of source of income they're uploading. When they get done pushing the button, I get credit. I get all those IDs. I get address histories. I get an instant criminal history. We don't stop there because we don't believe in instant criminal histories. We actually have a private investigator for the next 4 to 6 hours to do an investigation for you. But I'm letting you know what you get instantly to give you an idea right away while I'm still at lunch with Walter if I've got somebody good or not. Okay. If the private investigator is done in 4 hours and I like it, I push a few buttons, I send away a lease. It's my custom lease. It's not Rent Perfect's lease. It's the lease I want in there with my language. They go ahead and sign, I sign. Okay, after we sign, we hand them the keys. I send them over a move in, move out. They go around the property with their phone and they take pictures of anything that's out of sort, any chip, or they approve the room is acceptable. And then I set up a rent pay with them where they take their money right from their bank account and they put it right into my bank account. I'm not going to the mailbox. I'm not going to the bank. I'm not giving out my bank number for them to run to the bank. I'm not accepting partial payments. This system manages my payment. It lets me know when they pay. But more importantly, it lets them know in 5 days your rent's due, in 4 days your rent's due, in 3 days your rent's due. Your rent's due today. Your rent's past due. Your rent's past due now with a late fee. And it almost bugs your tenants to get their rent into you so you don't have to. So I can continue my lunch with Walter and let the system do everything for me. That's how I run 5 companies, up to 16 properties here shortly. And I don't even have a property manager, and I don't skip a beat because I let this system work for me. And here's the big play for RIA members. It's 95 cents for a one-time setup fee. 95 cents, not a month, not a year. It's like buying an app. It's 95 cents one-time setup fee. Everything else is free in it. Okay. All but one thing I'll tell you in a second, but the background checks are free to you because the tenant's going to pay us $39 to run their own background check. The lease is free to you. The move in, move out is free to you. If you use the rent pay, there's a nominal $10 fee that goes to the credit processor that moves all the money around, doesn't come to us. We couldn't get away from that fee right there.
It's so worth it. I have one property and it's so worth it.
So I wish I probably could plug my phone around, show you all my rental history, all my payments coming up, all my payments that have been paid in the past. This system really works for me, gives me peace of mind. I almost forget that I'm a landlord. It's that good. I just wait for the occasional, the air conditioning out here in Arizona isn't working. So 95 cents, get that link from your Boston RIA. You can't go to rentperfect.com and come in on the front end to get that deal. You have to hit a certain link through Boston RIA. But it's I know I'm selling my own product, but I built my product for me. I've always said if I'm the only one who ever uses my product, it will be worth it. So come join us. If you have any questions, call Heather. Heather can help you. We also do so much training. I mean, we're on podcasts weekly. I did 2 yesterday. We're writing articles around the nation. We have Instagram, Facebook. Come subscribe to us on YouTube. And it's all free stuff. Landlords love free stuff. So come get it and we'll help you. Walter, back to you. We certainly appreciate the opportunity.
Let's give David and Heather a round of applause for this awesome presentation on Rent Perfect. And let me tell you, if Rent Perfect existed when I started my business, I would have been using it. The reason being, I spent a lot of money on property management software, on being the guy in between, right, on having to do the follow-ups, on setting things up. Having this all automated I get asked the question all the time. Should I get a property manager? Should I manage myself? What's the system you use? And like the way I started was a lot of freaking work. It really was. Hands to the can if you got a lot of value from this training. If you thought this was the tool to use as a landlord, my first coach, the first coach that I worked with, he has 300 rental units. And so I asked him, I was working in his office, he was coaching me, and I asked him, I said, hey, how many units should you get your first property manager? At what point should you get a property manager? And he looked at me, didn't say a word, and he raised his finger. And then I was like, what do you, 1? And he was like, yeah, 1. First unit, you need management in place. And the reason he said that was the systems that a manager brings to your game. With today's modern technology, with Rent Perfect, what they've put together, you don't need to have a property manager on unit number 1. And in fact, if you build this system properly, all you need is a maintenance guy, right? All you need is somebody to shoot a text over and say, hey, this is the unit, go and get it taken care of. I like, Dave, the way you said it. You built the system that you wish already existed. That's how any great entrepreneur operates. It's how the mentorship got formed. It's how Boston RIA got formed. It was, I wish this existed before I got here. And now you've built something that other people are using. And I'm sure you've identified over years that, hey, we need to improve this. We need to improve this. We need to improve this because my system didn't need it, but this landlord system does. And so it's gotten better and better over time.
Yeah.
But I want to open it up to questions. What question? We have literally the developer of Rent Perfect, like the owner of the company here. This is a massive opportunity for us. What questions do you have for somebody who's become so successful helping other people manage their tenants? This is your chance. You can unmute the mic so you can raise your hands, drop it in the chat. These guys are here to answer questions to help you move forward, becoming a millionaire. Any question is acceptable.
I'll
Yeah,
just kind of say while I'm waiting, like as I just started my first rental, like you said, I was so happy to have this system. I've helped thousands of people with this system, and I've helped family and friends, and then doing it for myself, it made it so easy. Like having an application there, getting all like the proof uploaded, IDs, the rental criteria, especially the rental criteria, and the screening reports. I signed my lease while I was on a plane. I love that. I text David. I'm like, I'm the Rent Perfect poster child. I just signed my lease when I was on a plane. This is awesome. And it gives you that professional touch so that people know that you know what you're doing, because you don't want a tenant. David always says they're screening you long before you're screening them. They want to they'll ask, hey, are you a property management company, or are you just like an owner landlord? Like if you're an owner landlord, they think they can take advantage of you. And when you have that professional system, it really helps that. So I'll just throw that in there.
Yeah, and I'm open to having your spouse be the landlord. You just say, hey, somebody else is the owner. I'm just the property manager. We're a big company. You could have one unit. That's bigger than your friends who have no units. So just say, hey, you have to go through my system. We use Rent Perfect. This is the system. And fall behind the system. Trust the system. Trust the process. Like they said early on in this call was, sometimes people say the system's broken. No, you're just getting a bad tenant.
Yeah. Someone's playing games with you.
And the discount link is in the chat now. So Duncan just dropped it in the chat. This is your chance to ask questions. What questions do you have?
This is Cynthia. I have a question. Dave, is your name, right? Am I saying it right?
Yeah, David.
Yeah, David, you said that the government doesn't scrutinize the way for like Section 8 units, the way that Rent Perfect does. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so there is, so first of all, and just to kind of explain this to you, every time there's a big shooting at a school or there's some gun kind of shooting, you always hear things like the background check system is broken. I want to tell you the government doesn't have a good background check system. The best background check system the government has is arrest records in a system called III, or you also might know it by NCIC, that the police officers use when they pull somebody over or they take your driver's license. They're really not looking at criminal convictions, they're looking at arrest records. The federal government has a lot of arrest records. They don't have a lot of criminal records. They have no eviction records. And they really don't care about that in Section 8 because they're figuring they're going to pay most of the rent anyways. And so I will tell you that there is no background check done of any means of a criminal or eviction background check in Section 8 housing. They might screen the application, they might screen the income, they might see if they qualify for the program, but if they say these are pre-screened applicants, they're talking about a different pre-screen than what we do.
Okay, so basically they're saying we don't access queries and stories and all that stuff.
Nope.
That's up to the landlord to do.
Yes,
or
absolutely up to you to do.
Okay. Yeah, because I know that when people have Section 8, the person that pays the rent, the agency that pays the rent, ask for, they make them sign this document saying, are you a criminal? Have you ever been convicted of a criminal and all this stuff? But they don't follow that up, you're saying.
They don't. My partner, attorney here, is the founder, the co-founder of the Crime-Free Housing. He wrote the Crime-Free Addendum. We're very close to that whole system. And I can tell you that no. You just go through a housing project in any city and start running background checks, and you will find that there are a lot of criminal history within those projects. A lot of people would not qualify if they ran their criminal history on that.
Yeah, and I can tell you, I've helped some new investors. One was so excited. She was building 2 units somewhere in Louisiana. She was so excited to move people in. And I was on vacation and I came back and she's like, well, I rented to someone. And I was like, what? Who? Wait, it couldn't be this person in our system. And she rented to someone with like a 400 credit score. And not only that, they had a recent eviction. And I was like, oh no, what has she done? And I felt so bad for her. Her tenant lost their voucher within 2 months of living with her. And then she had to she had to evict them. This was before the moratorium, but I was just so devastated for her, because if she had screened them the same, she would have at least seen the eviction. Maybe the credit score wouldn't have mattered as much to her, but she would have seen that eviction and been like, I don't want to deal with that. So it was just really unfortunate. And the government didn't see that.
Well, the thinking is since someone's on Section 8 voucher, and if they get evicted, they lose it for a lifetime. So there are a lot of people that are really going to play by the rules, and they're going to really try to be good tenants. I have a lot of investor friends of mine that just go Section 8 and they love it. People stay a long time. Their houses get a little beat up. Where we see problems in Section 8 housing is when mama qualifies for it and all the kids are coming back home because they've been evicted everywhere else, and they bring the criminal element with them, and what is surrounding your home. And so I would make sure that, the one person might have qualified for it, but I'd stay close enough to do the background checks on everybody who's kind of hanging out there, staying the night there. I know it's a little difficult to do, but that's one of the main things I see as far as criminal element in Section 8 housing. Oftentimes it's not even the person who qualified either.
How do you do that when they're not on the lease?
Well, you continue to give them notice of an unauthorized resident. They are not supposed to be staying there or living there. So I'm not telling you to do it if they're visiting, but if you see the car in there night after night, you see them there every time you go there, you might want to talk to the neighbor and say, hey, does this person live here? You're going to have to do a little bit of PI work and figure out if they are living there. If they're living there, then you can call the Section 8 people and tell them, hey, they're violating their Section 8. And they can see if they can help you. And if not, you go through the eviction process. And the minute you talk about the eviction process, the person who qualifies is going to clean that up for you, because they don't want to lose their Section 8 housing.
Okay. Thank you so much.
I have a question. Hello?
Yes, Deborah.
Thank you. So in Massachusetts, the governor just started a program where they're trying to get homeless people housing. And so they have set up a program where there's a landlord incentive to provide room rentals for homeless people. Would you use the same criteria that you talked about, that you just shared with us, for regular rentals, for a room rental where the population it has a history of being homeless?
Once again, what is your strategy, right? If you want to play in that game, just get ready to manage that game. That is not a set it and go down to the beach and enjoy your day. That is a game of a lot of drug use. That is a game of a lot of mental illness. That is a different game than the game I play in there. So I'm saying admirable if you want to go take those incentives, but make sure your criteria. I mean, obviously, if you're homeless, you don't have a job, you haven't held a job, I'm not going to be able to give you paycheck stubs. I'm not sure what your criminal history is going to be. You're probably not going to have a credit score. So really, you're taking a big risk and a big challenge. And if I'm going to take a big risk and a big challenge, I better be making a ton of money, because if I'm making a little bit of money and taking that big risk, the problem the cities are having right now is the rental market isn't saturated. In fact, it's just the opposite. People are having a hard time finding homes. Why mess around in that area if you don't have to? But you might have properties that works perfectly for. I don't know your whole situation, Deborah, so I can't tell you exactly what to do. I'm just saying.
I have landlord clients that are interested in participating in the program.
Who's going to manage them?
It would really be the landlord that would be responsible.
Are they seasoned landlords?
Pretty much so. They own quite a few properties. So most times the government pays the 70% and the 30% of the rent the tenant pays, but they have like SSI. So it comes out of that.
if there's a seasoned investor saying, hey, there's a great opportunity, I'm going to do it, I'm going to trust that they know what they're doing. So
Now, would I still be going through Rent Perfect to do the check and the query? Do you do queries?
yeah, we do the query check. Yeah, no, I don't know that that would be necessary to do. Because what are you going to turn someone down who's homeless for? Like, what is it that they're going to have in their history that you're going to say no to?
Okay, I understand.
Right. If you're saying, okay, I'll rent to anybody, but if you have a sex offense or you're a sex offender, then yes, you want to come through our system to search for one thing, and your criteria is going to be kind of one thing, and that is you can't be a sex offender. And then you're going to come through Rent Perfect, and we're going to tell you whether they are one or they're not. So other than that, I just don't know if they're going to pass a whole lot of stuff, you know?
Right, like the credit check and things like that. Okay, I understand.
I'm trying to be sensitive, but I'm also trying to let new landlords or new people know that are on this call tonight that let's let a seasoned landlord who knows what they're doing handle that situation. Don't consider that if you're brand new. There's too much risk there, and you'll be cussing our name out if you thought that was a great opportunity and all of us are going, yeah, go for it. That's a tough one.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. Let's give Deborah a round of applause.
Thanks,
These
Deborah.
are great questions.
Thank
Who
you.
else has a question? It's all fair game. And this
Guys,
is
I
your
want to say
chance.
what a great group this was. I learned a lot tonight with you. Enjoyed being here. You know, we don't make the circuit to make a ton of money from one person. We take a little bit of a nickels from a lot of people, and we have a lot of clients like you, Walter, where you make your 100 millionaires. I just want thousands of successful landlords, you know, who are providing good homes to these people. The reality is, if you asked my current 14 residents right now, when I call my business partners, they would say, yes, David is a good landlord. They would say that, right? And then I would continue to fix their stuff, and we'd continue to have a great relationship, because when they're successful, I'm successful. I have people that I changed my criteria in 2009 that went through foreclosures that still live in my properties today, my single family homes that are worth $400,000, $500,000. And the great thing is they paid a third of the mortgage off for me, has taken care of it, and have told me we've got no plans of leaving. We're going to pay the whole thing off for you. In 30 years, we're going to sit there, and one person's going to say, I paid the entire bill. I'm going to sit there and say, I paid nothing, but my name's on the deed. Right? My name's on the deed. Mm-hmm. And so this is the beautiful thing about this business is, yeah, it's not an overnight, you know, yeah, you might buy that home that's like just a home run. But listen, if you just stay consistent year after year after year, I'm 50 years old now, you know, and I've got millions of dollars in my portfolio too. And I don't like to talk a ton about that. I'm more about time. I get free
You're
time.
too humble, Dave.
I get to be on a call with you guys when I want to, and I don't have to worry about anything else. But my point is for you new people on this that listen to this today, everything that I heard, I'm just going to back up and say, even in these tough times, I brought kind of the downside to the presentation tonight with all the regulations and stuff. But guys, it's so good. It's so good. And if you follow the news right now and you follow everybody, no one is going to let landlords die. There's some certain people after us, but that is the heart of America, owning your own private property, being in control of your four corners. And there's a lot of people, and if you guys teach us, I apologize. There's a lot of people that say, don't say landlord anymore. You say housing provider. I'm sorry. I'm old school. I'm the landlord. I do own the land. I do manage the land. And I'm sorry if I've hurt anybody's feelings about that, but I am not going to be controlled as a landlord of what you're going to call me, what I can say. We own the land. We provide a great house for people. We should be proud of that. Get into this business if you're not. It's not too late. A lot of people say, oh, high prices are high. It's not too late. There are deals everywhere.
I love that statement. By the way, Dave, just so you know, the reason I became a landlord is because Noble and Barron weren't available. So I said, the only way I can ever get a title in this country is I've got to go be a lord, lord of the land.
Right. but a gracious landlord, a nice landlord, a caring landlord. That's possible. But people have turned that word into so negative, and it's such a great word that if I'm offending anybody, I apologize. I love the word because it's, to me, it doesn't mean what everybody says it means. So
well, they're doing the opposite. They're like, oh, the landlords are all bad, but then there's no bad tenants. Everyone in this moratorium needs it. We don't want to make them homeless because of COVID.
Yeah.
It's like you have, it's the opposite. There are slumlords, unfortunately, but most of them are good. And then they act as if none of the tenants are being dishonest. And I personally have one in my family that hasn't paid rent. I just found this out the other day and I was horrified. That she hadn't been paying her rent for that long. So anyway.
But when Boston needs to place homeless people into homes, who are they going to?
Yeah.
They're not doing it themselves. They're coming to us and saying, oh, please manage it a little different than normal. Please take a risk, take a chance. You know,
they know we help people.
They know that we are the solution and we are the answer. We are not the problem. And I'm done acting like we're the problem, or even I'm done taking it. If you can't tell, this is my rant. I'm done taking it. We are the good guys.
We really are. And the government knows that. That's why they subsidize our purchases. It's why they give us discounts on capital gains when we're buying things up, when we're doing 1031 exchanges. They leave these programs in place because they know what we do provides housing for good people. And to the point of landlord, I've heard my tenants say, that's my landlord. They never say it with anything other than a positive statement. He's amazing. He teaches, he trains, he's helped me out. I've seen my tenants, and this is the beauty you get to have, by the way, for everybody listening, is I've been out at restaurants, I've been out at bars, and I see a tenant, and the tenant will come over and bring their friend and introduce me and say, this is my landlord. I really he's just amazing. I want you to meet him. This is the guy I talk about, all the great things he's done for us. So those opportunities exist. My tenants love me. I love my tenants. They have my cell phone. They never text me. It's fantastic. They're all on my Facebook. All the if you go to my Facebook page and you see it, I'm constantly posting about buy real estate, invest, be ethical, be moral. My tenants follow me and they're 100% in that mindset. If you do the right background checks and you're a decent human being, this business is fantastic. If you cut corners, you don't screen your tenants, and you don't fix things, you don't
want them to have your cell phone number. You don't want those guys to have your cell phone number. No. You got your cell phone number, you get the right partners. Okay.
Yes.
You got to get the right partners, but it is rewarding. My point is we make a lot of money, but it's also rewarding.
We make a lot of money.
Yeah, exactly.
But I said this, actually one of my people in the mentorship, this coach, Terry, he's actually the psychologist. When I met him 3 years ago, and this is a great story for each one who's thinking about staying in this for the long term. He said, why do you do it? And I was like, it makes a lot of money. And he's like, but why do you do real estate landlording? And I said, because it pays a lot, it makes a lot of money. And he said, but would you do anything else that paid more? And I said, no, I like what I do. I like, my tenants. I like the people that I have. He's like, would you sell your buildings if, you get double the profit? And I told him, I was like, yes, logically, but he's like, what's holding you back? And I was like, well, my tenants, I've built really great relationships with them. There's 51 families that I take care of. And those families love me. I love them. We care about each other. Whenever I'm in town, it's a great experience. If they see me at a property, there's always positive things to say, and they'll be the first to tell me something's wrong. If something's wrong, they'll let me know. Good. Thank you. I want that fixed. This is a business that you can scale. Look at David's up to 14 units. Heather just bought her first unit. This is a business that starts. I got up to 42. I sold down to 12. You know what I regretted? Not holding all 42. That's why we built back up to 57, down to 51. Now we're buying more again. We just put an offer in on 49 units. The business scales with you as you grow. Every year you can double. It starts with buying one unit, then you buy the second one. That's 2. Then you buy another 2. That gets you to 4. And you keep stacking up till you're at the point where Dave's at. And you look around, you say, do I want to keep going? Or do I want to build a business that helps people like Rent Perfect? Let's give them a round of applause one more time.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. And if there are no questions, I want to give Kelly, Hannah, Duncan, Darina, Sarah, everybody who volunteers and puts this event on every single month and does all the work behind the scenes that we just don't see. Trust me, they are always working, making sure the messaging goes out, the content goes out. Let's give them a giant round of applause for being committed for so many years to such a great community. All the events, everything that they've been going through COVID, adjusting to this online platform. It's been nuts, but it's been worth it because I've seen Millionaires Built. I've seen your success. I see your reviews. I see the stories. I get the messages. So from me, the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for your success. Your success means the most to us. So cheers to your success. You have a choice. I always work with the best. We'll see you next month.
Thank you. Thank you, Galta and Duncan and everybody else.
And thank you for your questions, Cynthia. Your questions make it more fun. And this one more tip for everybody who hung on, right? If you're not asking questions, we know you're not taking action. So go out there, take some action, send us questions. We'll make sure we deliver the answers. Night, guys. Later, Duncan. All right, Kelly. Bye, Barry. Bye, Sarah. Later, James. I'll see you in a minute, Darina.